Memphis Mayor Paul Young throwing down the gauntlet tonight, saying the recent crackdown on gang members and other accused criminals in the city is just the beginning. Today, the city and Memphis area law enforcement talked about what they're calling Operation Rolling Thunder. Hello, I'm Greg Hurst.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Skurlock. 160 people arrested. Of that, 50 of them are known gang members. WRG's Shay Arthur shows us some have extensive criminal histories.
A wall of mugshots, a table of weapons, cash, and other paraphernalia, all confiscated during Operation Rolling Thunder. Memphis Police Chief CJ Davis calling it precision policing with deliberate collaboration among Memphis area agencies.
Disrupting, dismantling, and disarming the people causing the most harm in our neighborhoods.
MPD says these mugshots show 50 known gang members.
None of these individuals are first-time offenders. None of these individuals are second-time offenders. Some of these individuals have more than 50 and 60 charges in their history.
And we checked. We dug into our records, tracking cases we've previously reported on. And we discovered of those 50 accused gang members, we've told you about at least 15 of them in the past. All of them at one time charged with violent crimes. Some cases going back several years, like the case of Tremaine Scales in 2021. When he was just 15 years old, he was arrested after 16-year-old Emmett Beasley was killed during a funeral procession in North Memphis. Online records show Scales' charges were later dismissed. It's unclear exactly why. Other cases more recent. Two cousins, Martavius Jenkins and LaCameron Jenkins, arrested in a deadly domestic violence shooting we told you about in Frazier last month. Memphis Mayor Paul Young acknowledging as the operation continues, he knows there is a clear crime problem.
But I also want everybody to know that we're turning the ship, and this is a very big ship.
What up, family? Y'all see this? 160 arrests out there in Memphis with Operation Rolling Thunder. Let's get a little bit more, then we're going to get into it, family. Appreciate y'all being here. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, share with a friend.
Memphis Police Department, if you're in this apartment, come out there with your hands up.
Hunting for fugitives tonight, an exclusive inside look at the Memphis Police Department's renewed effort to round up violent criminals.
Earlier in this newscast, we told you about Operation Rolling Thunder. The 3-week push across Memphis led to more than 160 arrests, including 50 people police identified as gang members. Fox 13's Jack Bilyeu was there when police conducted those raids, and tonight he takes you inside the operation. This is a story that you will only see on Fox 13.
You thought it was a game? No. Think that.
Got soundtracks now and music and all that. Miss D56, what up? What's that? You didn't stepped it up a number? You didn't moved up? I see you, family.
It's early on a Tuesday morning. While most people are getting ready to start their day, MPD's Fugitive Task Force is making the rounds in Raleigh, picking people up on outstanding warrants. They have a briefing and prayer outside MPD's Austin Peay Station, then roll out 10 cars deep.
It's a game of hide and seek. Yeah. And, you know, they hide and we seek.
At times, they were equipped with helmets, and one carried a riot shield. Our cameras were rolling while they took half a dozen people into custody.
Many of the individuals that have outstanding warrants are gang members.
Memphis Police Chief CJ Davis sat down with Fox 13 for an exclusive interview about the department's efforts to clear out the city's gangs. At the center of it all is the organized crime unit. The Fugitive Task Force is a key part of that.
Another year around. Congratulations. Happy birthday. Hey, y'all know CJ Davis. That was the one from Memphis that started the Scorpion unit. And she used to be in Georgia, too, before that, like with the Red Dogs. She was originally with the Red Dogs. And they still start new operation units and gang units and all that, even though they keep on getting in trouble and killing people.
You know, they're very methodical. They're well-trained.
On that day, the Fugitive Task Force hauled in 6 people with warrants ranging from traffic citations to violent crimes, including assault and carjacking.
If there are individuals that insist on committing criminal activity and violent crime and victimizing and, jeopardizing the quality of life in our community, we're coming after them.
Yeah, we gonna get you. Don't think we're joking.
What is with the music, though?
Coming up at 10.
We gonna get you. Don't think we're joking.
First at 5 on your news leader, Memphis crime remains a hot button issue for local, state and federal leaders. Just today, U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn said she hopes to bring more after-school programs to the city to help keep kids out of trouble during the summer. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Stephanie Skurlock.
And I'm Greg Hurst. This all comes just days after FBI Director Kash Patel called Memphis the homicide capital of the entire country. Tonight, WRAG's Harrison Klopp takes a closer look at a crime initiative the city says led to dozens of arrests, but he also examines why many of those suspects are already back on the streets.
These are the faces of violent individuals tied to murders and other gun violence, drug trafficking, auto theft, illegal weapons, and other crimes that destabilize entire communities.
Mugshots shown on the wall at City Hall yesterday of the suspects that were arrested in the city of Memphis's Rolling Thunder operation, which was designed to target gang activity in the city. 160 arrests were made from April 23rd to May 10th. Of the 49 suspects that were publicly shown, a further investigation from your news leader today has revealed that 29 of the 49 shown here have already been released from jail, some charged with nonviolent offenses like drug possession. Some of the men that were still locked up were charged with serious crimes, like Cameron and Martavius Jenkins, who were charged earlier this month in a Frazier shooting that left 2 dead. Pastor Keith Norman, who has been following what's happening in the city closely, believes the mayor announcing successful crime statistics was an appropriate response given FBI Director Kash Patel saying Memphis was the homicide capital of America over the weekend.
We do have a crime problem. However, to call us the homicide or murder capital on that large of a scale was just really not an appropriate statement. And so for the mayor and the chief of police to make a counter statement by suggesting what we are doing does bring leadership and calmness to the law-abiding citizens of our city to know that we're not just sitting around twiddling our thumbs, so to speak.
And as far as the 160 arrests in just 17 days, Pastor Norman believes while it might be harsh, sometimes it's required.
Okay, this is a high number. We're not happy with having to arrest our way out of this, but if it's required, we've got to do it.
From Memphis, I'm Harrison Klopp for your news leader.
Thank you for being here for this press conference. We have periodic gatherings.
So this is a press conference from earlier today. They just arrested 160 people out there. So I don't know if you know, they trying to prove themselves from all the mistakes they've been making and all the stuff that's been going on with all these dirty cops killing people and all that. Letting the other ones walk free that just killed, what's his name? Dang, what's this dude's name? Well, anyway, I'll pull it up. But yeah, they trying to make up for something, trying to make themselves look good or get some elections or something going on. But 160 people, that's crazy. And then 30 of them already home out of the last 49.
Where law enforcement agencies throughout the region come together. I want to thank the Mid-South Development District that I think hosted this meeting of law enforcement agencies. We have representatives from City Council that are here, as well as the U.S. Marshal's Office. We have law enforcement from Shelby County Sheriff's Office, Germantown Police Department, Piperton Police Department. The U.S. Attorney's Office is also represented here, as well as obviously the City of Memphis and Memphis Police Department. I know there was some news that came out earlier today, and you may have questions about it, so I figured I would address that. Coming straight out the gate, the news around DOJ.
Tyree Nichols, sorry about that, y'all. My brain is just getting warmed up. I kind of just jumped into this, but yeah, Tyree Nichols, appreciate you, Miss D56.
It really reaffirms the approach that we have already embarked upon. It does not change anything regarding our commitment to ensuring that there's integrity in policing. The task force that has been assembled will continue to work, and we will still continue to look for continuous improvement within our police department. Today we're going to have a little bit of conversation around some efforts that Memphis Police Department has been undertaking, but I want to just kind of level set some of the conversation. In 2023, Memphis had a devastating surge of violent crime. It resulted in us having 398 homicides in our community, the highest in our city's history. And this crisis demanded immediate and decisive action. So when I took office in January of 2024, I pledged to make crime reduction our top priority. We committed to a comprehensive strategy that combines law enforcement, prevention, as well as community engagement to make sure that we are reclaiming the safety of our neighborhoods. Under the leadership of Chief Davis, the police department has executed this strategy with precision and dedication, and you'll hear more about that momentarily. But they've put forth targeted operations with innovative policing methods, and they've yielded results. And I'm not going to misrepresent the issue. I want to be clear. We know that we have a crime problem in our community. But I also want everybody to know that we're turning the ship, and this is a very big ship. It's not a speedboat, and it's going to take continued and ongoing effort, but the ship is turning. 2023 was our highest crime year. It was not 2024, and it's not 2025. And we're working to ensure that by the end of my first term, that our officers are the highest paid in the region, helping us recruit and retain talent, and that we're continuing to push crime numbers down. We believe that investment in this space is vital to our long-term safety. A safer Memphis strengthens our entire region. That's why I'm excited to be here with our partners from across the region, from Germantown and Bartlett to South Haven and West Memphis. We know that we are stronger and safer together. And so I want us to talk about an initiative that's been underway that I think has been really impactful over the last couple of weeks, because I think it's important for the public to know how law enforcement is working to get results. In Memphis, we're applying relentless pressure through our most recent initiative, which is titled Rolling Thunder. This is intended to disrupt gang.
Rolling Thunder, and they always come with them crazy names, Operation Planners Peanuts and all that shit. What up, Amazonista? I see you. What up? Appreciate you joining, family.
Activity, recovering illegal weapons, removing dangerous drugs from the streets, and arresting violent offenders. Operation Code Zero, which you've heard of before, it's clearing drug houses and nuisance properties in high-impact neighborhoods. We recently established a fugitive task force in partnership with federal agencies, and we've captured some of the most dangerous individuals in the region. And I think the overarching message is that we want those who seek to disrupt peace to understand that we are not going to tolerate lawlessness in our community. And the era of unchecked violence in our city is over. There is unprecedented collaboration. I was just talking to officials from Germantown about the collaboration and the results that it's reaping around auto thefts, and how the law enforcement agencies are collaborating to make sure that there's direct communication amongst all of them to ensure that we're bringing people to justice. And so we're committed to sustaining this project progress and ensuring that every resident feels safe. So I'm going to turn it over to Chief Davis, because I would like for her to talk a little bit more about Rolling Thunder. Afterwards, we'll take a couple of questions, but we have a council meeting in a minute, so we're going to ask the media, after we take a few questions, if there are additional questions for anyone here, will allow us to kind of break apart and just pull people to the side. But Chief Davis, please do come forward.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
So good afternoon.
What?
Appreciate you joining, Amazonista. Welcome to the fam. What up, FFS? I see you, family. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Happy Thursday, everyone. What up, what up? Appreciate y'all. Hit the like button on your way in. Let's get it.
And thank you, Mayor, and thank you to all of our law enforcement partners who are here, including our DA's office, U.S. Attorney's office, all of our council members. This issue is one that is very serious to us as a police department, as the primary police department for the city of Memphis. In recent press conferences and media releases, we told you what was coming. We illustrated, we explained what needed to happen in order for us to reduce crime in our city. We made it clear that violent criminals have gotten our attention and have gone too far victimizing our citizens. So today, we're showing you early results of what criminals can expect from the Memphis Police Department and all of our law enforcement partners. Operation Rolling Thunder, it didn't roll through Memphis quietly. It moved through this city, disrupting, dismantling, and disarming the people causing the most harm in our neighborhoods, and we aren't done yet. This wasn't random. This was intentional, strategic, focused. This was precision policing and deliberate collaboration. From April 23 to May 10th, we apprehended over 160 violent offenders. 50 of those are known
160 violent offenders, but then you heard the lady say 30 of them got out of jail because they was not violent offenders. So those numbers, she already inflating the numbers.
Gang members shown here. These are the faces of violent individuals tied to murders and other gun violence, drug trafficking, auto theft, illegal weapons, and other crimes that destabilize entire communities. These faces are the drivers of violence in our city. So far, 10 people have been indicted on federal charges as a result of this operation, including 6 gang members. And we don't plan on stopping here.
And the lady said something like 50 or 15 gang members. How'd she say only 6? They be mixing their numbers up like a mug, I guess.
This is just the beginning, so let me reiterate what federal charges mean. In many instances, no bond, faster indictments, expeditious prosecution, and more severe sentences. And we owe it to the victims of crime in our city to continue working with our federal partners and our DA's office to pursue charges wherever possible. That's how we break this cycle, by ensuring the most dangerous offenders no longer have the opportunity to threaten our communities. Operation Rolling Thunder, it hit hard, and it made an impact. From January 1 to April 30th of this year, there were 30 gang-related crimes reported. During the course of Operation Rolling Thunder, there were 3 gang-related cases reported. In addition to the arrest, we removed 15 illegal firearms from our streets, including a Glock switch, which converts a handgun into a fully automatic weapon. Long guns, extended magazines, and Glock switches have no place in our neighborhoods, and we're working relentlessly to take them out of circulation. This illustration here is just a portion of the paraphernalia and other types of items and guns that were apprehended during this operation. We also seized fentanyl and other illegal narcotics, dangerous substances.
Man, them boys had them blickies though. That's still more than we saw during the whole YSL trial. Just what's on this table right here. But look at them motherfucking them drums though. Them switch drums. That's crazy right there. Could you imagine having that hanging on the bottom of your 9?
Directly tied to violence,
excuse me for the cough, family,
and overdose deaths in our city. Our focus is to stop the bleeding, not just to put a tourniquet or a Band-Aid on it, to stop the bleeding. That means removing what's fueling the violence, the guns, the drugs, and the money that funds criminal activity. And it means making sure the people
yeah, they got the extended mags too.
Responsible for this violence face real consequences. This is one of the many operations like it to come, and it only works through coordination and collaboration with all of the individuals that you see here today, including our organized crime unit that led this operation. Also the U.S. Marshals, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Germantown Police Department, Bartlett Police Department, the District Attorney's Office, the Shelby County Sheriff's Department, and other federal and regional law enforcement partners stood side by side with one goal, and that is to stop the violence at its source. And together, we are doing exactly that, and we are not letting up. A stronger, safer Memphis means a stronger and safer region, and that's why our regional partners are standing with us today. We are stronger and better together. To the residents of Memphis, we hear you, and we are taking action, not with words, but with results. Thank you, and I am available to answer any questions along with the mayor. Y'all been easy today. I'm sorry, yes. Yes.
The mayor have made a lot of noise about how artificial intelligence and new technology is impacting crime. How has that played into Operation Rolling Thunder?
So in Operation Rolling Thunder, the way we use AI in some of our investigations, it helps us identify vehicles.
Yeah, you heard her. They using AI too. The police using AI too now.
Vehicles. So in Operation Rolling Thunder, the way we use AI in some of our investigations, it helps us identify vehicles. It helps us to identify the path of vehicles. We do not use it to identify people. We have enough information most of the time when we make arrests like this. We have enough information from camera technology and other technology to help us identify the individuals that are involved in crimes. But we are exploring how we can better use AI, not just in the Memphis Police Department, but in other areas of city government as well. Yes.
I know you said that some of the people on this board have been indicted. Are they still all behind bars or some out?
So out of the gang members that we spoke of, 10 are still in and 3 are out right now. Yes, sir.
Mayor Young discussed the task force that is looking into police reforms and away from the federal investigation. Do you have an update on the progress of the task force?
Well, I know that the teams have been meeting. Judge Donald has been leading that. I can check in with her over the next couple of days. But at this point, the goal is to level set, to get more information on how the police department is performing, what are the policies and procedures, and educating the task force on those things as they dive deeper and figure out what types of recommendations they want to bring forth.
When it comes to operations like this, how are we identifying areas? What markers are we using to say this is how we want to target one place over another?
So, and it's not necessarily geographical, in places, it's
Ohio law
individuals. We are really trying to be laser focused on those individuals in the city who are committing violent crime. And once we identify them, because of the fact that they were involved in some recent act, whether it was a homicide or some other type of gang activity, aggravated assault, then we prioritize, how we are going to go after those individuals, especially those who already have warrants on them. Most of these folks, none of these individuals are first-time offenders. None of these individuals are second-time offenders. Some of these individuals have more than 50 and 60 charges in their history, and these are career individuals that continue to commit violence in the city.
Did MPD target these gang members that were mentioned? Did MPD target a certain group, or were they from different gangs? Like, how did that?
No, we didn't target any particular group, because what we have found is that there's so many different groups of individuals operating in our city. Some of them are hybrid gangs, neighborhood gangs. Some of them are more traditional. What we're identifying are these individuals who would have the most serious types of offenses, whether it's carrying extended magazines, being involved in a homicide, being involved in a mass shooting, and prioritizing them based on the level of violence and danger that they pose to our citizens.
Over the weekend, Memphis made national headlines when the director of the FBI called it the homicide capital of the country. Have you had any discussions with the FBI? What kind of message do you think this type of operation sends to your federal partners?
Well, we haven't had any direct.
What up, Jazzy T? Late night baking with Mookie. Cat Burglar, what up? I see y'all. Appreciate y'all joining. And Amazonista, my Cash App is right up there at the top now. It's Versatile369 under the name Cassius Cali. Appreciate you, family.
Direct contact with the director. We are talking on a daily basis with the FBI here locally, and they have committed to resources here in our city, and we're trying not to pay too much attention to those types of comments, and we're really trying to focus on making Memphis a safe place for everybody. Thank you all.
GoFundMe, the online fundraising platform, issued a statement after campaigns supporting Rodney Hinton Jr. racked up donations over the weekend. WCPO 9 News reporter Valerie Lyons spoke with the local Fraternal Order of Police, who say GoFundMe did the right thing.
There was outrage.
Cincinnati's FOP president is talking about these. More than a dozen fundraisers for a man accused of intentionally killing a deputy. They started popping up on GoFundMe Saturday.
Good morning, Mr. Hinton.
Not long after Rodney Hinton Jr. made his first court appearance.
You've got officers, community members that are trying to process the fact that we've had a deputy murdered, only to see that somebody's trying to raise money for somebody that's accused of killing a cop.
But during my interview with Ken Kober Tuesday, we spoke about the fundraisers in the past tense. That's because now they're nowhere to be found. It took this to make it happen, a letter from the president of Ohio FOP demanding GoFundMe remove the fundraisers. It reads in part, "This is absolutely outrageous to fundraise off the assassination of a law enforcement officer." Hours later, GoFundMe responded with a letter of their own. Were you pleased to see the quick response?
Absolutely. I was more than appreciative to see not only did they take it down, but they said, listen, we're sorry that this happened to this deputy, and they give their condolences.
Kober received that same apology letter. It explained fundraisers like those supporting Hinton are prohibited. Raising money for people charged with violent crimes violates GoFundMe's policy.
I would hope that they would be able to create some kind of algorithm that would be able to catch these before they even actually go live. But that's something for them to figure out ultimately.
GoFundMe says any money raised for Rodney Hinton Jr.'s legal fund will be fully refunded to those who donated. The platform did a similar thing for campaigns supporting Luigi Mangione, the man accused of gunning down United Healthcare's CEO. In the news.
That's crazy, though. He ain't even been found guilty. So how y'all gonna come and say what y'all doing? Like, he just... So basically you saying that he doesn't deserve to have proper counsel. That they should not help him have proper counsel. Y'all killed this man's son. Y'all still ain't even post the cop that killed him. Y'all ain't said nothing about it. Y'all keeping it all under wraps. It's crazy. What up, Shishi? I see you. Appreciate you joining, family. What's wrong with these people, man? Yeah.
Ohio's Attorney General wants a crowdfunding site to remove a page that would benefit an accused killer. Rodney Hinton Jr. is charged with killing Hamilton County Sheriff's Deputy Larry Henderson earlier this month. Local 12's David Winter is here now after speaking with the AG about the tens of thousands of dollars already raised for Hinton. David.
Yeah, Kyle, Hinton Jr.'s family is using the crowdfunding site Give, Send, Go. They've already raised $50,000 from 1,300 donors. The Attorney General, the police, and the attorneys for Deputy Henderson want them to give that money back. Jr. waits in jail to be tried for allegedly murdering a sheriff's deputy. His family has been online attempting to raise money through the crowdfunding site Give, Send, Go. Hinton Jr.'s sister says the money will be used to help her brother and family with any decisions that need to be made.
This is not right. This is not good. We shouldn't be crowdfunding an evildoer.
The AG is asking Give, Send, Go to remove the Hinton site and refund the money already donated, much like GoFundMe did when the family first tried to raise money there. It should be noted Hinton Jr. is only accused of capital murder, not convicted. He was arrested on May 2nd after he allegedly ran over and killed Deputy Larry Henderson, a retired Hamilton County deputy working a traffic detail for UC's graduation. It came a day after Cincinnati police shot and killed Hinton Jr.'s son, Ryanhinton, who is allegedly running from police and threatening an officer with a handgun. And if you read some of the comments by the donors, it's unlikely they would want their money back, saying things like, "I would have done the same thing, eye for an eye, we can only take so much, and they have to stop killing our kids." That's got to evoke an emotion when you hear this.
Well, it doesn't, because we deal with it every day. It's just what we deal with in our job on a day-to-day basis.
Attorney General Yost, this money is presumably being raised to present a defense for someone who is accused of a crime. How can you be against someone trying to get the best defense possible?
The bottom line is that I think it should be the policy of Ohio that crowdfunding platforms are not permitted to raise money on the backs of a notorious and disgusting crime, period.
Yost went on to point out that the Hinton Give, Send, Go page says nothing about Hinton Jr.'s defense. The attorney for Deputy Henderson's estate says he is working with 2 state representatives to amend a law currently on the Ohio books designed to keep people and companies from profiting from criminal acts.
Give, Send, Go makes money off every penny donated into these crowdfunding campaigns. They are commercially profiting off the murder of this deputy. That's repugnant.
So what about that plantation that just burned down the other day? Has that not for over almost 200 years been profiting off the deaths of all the slaves that was on that plantation? And what about all the other plantations that y'all do for walkthroughs like museums and stuff like that, and y'all profiting off all the deaths of black people? What about all these slave movies like Roots and all that stuff where y'all profiting off the murders that y'all killed? All these people, man, come on, man. But soon as somebody else do, soon as a black person do it, now it's a problem. Now we want to ban it, make it illegal, even though y'all do the same thing. I bet y'all raising funds for that cop that killed the fucking that killed his son, Ryanhinton. I bet y'all paying for his attorney.
That should be outlawed.
Ohio already has a law in the books that prohibits people from profiting from criminal acts, but that law is very narrow, limiting that profit to things like movie deals and book deals. When the law was written, web-based crowdfunding had not even been invented, so it does not apply here. But that could soon change if.
That's crazy, man. As soon as somebody black do something, it's a whole different situation. What about Rittenhouse? You know what I'm saying? Jazekiel 38:14. Jazekiel 38:14. Oh snaps! Hold on, I was looking for it. Let me see, where's that? I know I got it up in here. Oh man, I took too long. Now it ain't gonna hit to say it. Jazekiel 38:14. God damn it! All right, I'll pull that up once I play the next clip because I'm struggling looking for it.
Rodney Hinton Jr. He's accused of intentionally hitting and killing Hamilton County Sheriff's Deputy Larry Henderson earlier this month. He is being held without bond and could face the death penalty if convicted. Now, fundraising efforts for Hinton and his legal defense have since popped up. 2 weeks ago, GoFundMe removed and refunded campaigns for Hinton after public outrage. The Attorney General's office is calling out another platform they say continues to profit from Deputy Henderson's death. Brenda Ordonez
Thank you for joining
has
us.
more.
My name is Bethany McCork.
Yeah, Trisha, the platform is called Give, Send, Go. It's powered by voluntary donations. Company officials told me today they are not profiting, though, from Hinton's active campaign fund that's already raised over $50,000.
I think it should be the policy of Ohio that crowdfunding platforms are not permitted to raise money on the backs of a notorious and disgusting crime, period.
Attorney General Dave Yost calling out one in particular, Give, Send, Go. The platform has an active campaign for Rodney Hinton Jr., the man accused of intentionally running down Hamilton County Deputy Larry Henderson.
I am appealing to them today to take down this site and to refund the money to the donors.
According to the site, it was created by Hinton's family to support him. It does not specify if the $50,000 already raised will go toward legal expenses or mental health help.
Cincinnati and the county of Hamilton and the state of Ohio are going to provide an indigent defendant with the resources to do that if they're unable to provide it for themselves. That's different than going out on the street and using technology to crowdfund nationally. I think that it's a horrible use of the charitable system, and I'm against it.
A statement from Give, Send, Go read in part, "We believe individuals have the right to seek help and support while their cases move through the justice system. We do not remove campaigns based solely on public outcry or political pressure. Our commitment remains to uphold the right to give, to speak, and to seek help in difficult moments." Hinton is also getting donations in the Clermont County Jail, where he's being held without bond. Major B.J. Berger tells us he has over $1,300 in his commissary book.
It's probably a higher amount than what people normally get.
Major Berger says most of the donations have come through online donations from supporters.
He has family.
And why y'all think? Y'all think people supporting him just for nothing, or just because they want to support crime? No, they supporting him because he had a mental breakdown in reaction to y'all killing his son. It ain't like he was out there gang banging and doing all that stuff. Y'all killed his son and then lied. Like, imagine you go to this place, they tell you they just killed your son. They say, oh yeah, he was accidentally shot in the chest, inside the chest, in the front, and the bullet came out the back. And then you look at the video and he clearly shot him in his back. So you already know they're going to be lying. You already know they're going to be covering up the whole crime. So, and you already have a mental illness. So what do you expect? What do you expect? Y'all.
Members that are putting money on his account as well, but there are people that are looking him up and putting funds on his account. I don't know if they're from Cincinnati. I don't know if they're from out of state. It doesn't tell us.
Major Berger says on top of monetary donations, Hinton has also received lots of mail.
A couple a day, sometimes a few a day. And mail's not popular here at our jail. We don't get a lot of mail incoming or outgoing. Like I said, he's getting letters from people that are all over the country and that he doesn't know.
During the press conference, Chief Wallace read a letter on behalf of the Henderson family.
I want to protect the father, painful.
Yeah, now
What y'all think about that? Y'all think that's shady? I'm gonna start a poll, family. Let me know if y'all think they should have shut down that GoFundMe, or is that just some spiteful hate shit? Like, just some more spite shit. Like, they just want to make shit worse as they can especially for him right now, I'm sure. All right, we're gonna get into this this press conference they did. What is wrong with this dude? Like, this is crazy. This is crazy they can do stuff like this. He ain't even had his trial day yet, and they already hanging this man.
I'm the communication director for Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost. We're here to talk about crowdfunding on a specific fundraiser. I'm not going to mention the name out of respect to the family, but it is an important topic. So at this point, I'm going to have AG Davios come up. We'll hear from a couple other speakers, and then we'll take questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you for all being here today. I want to begin by publicly expressing my continuing sorrow at the senseless murder of Deputy Henderson. I had the honor of standing witness at his funeral. However, we are not in the Attorney General's office engaged with this case. If we were,
So why would you come up here doing this with cops all behind you and then gonna say how it's a wrong thing to do, but then you gotta preface it by saying we are not personally engaged with this case? Obviously you are. You right here holding a big ass press conference with all these cops behind you.
or some of the things I'm about to say, I probably shouldn't say, and I want to make it.
You definitely shouldn't say. So why are you up there saying it? Why would you even preface it by that? What type of shady shit is this? How can you even do this?
Clear that probably shouldn't say, and I want to make it clear that our non-involvement is a precondition to my presence here today.
Non-involvement, but he right here though. Tat, 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 what up though?
GoFundMe, which is the common phrase for crowdfunding sites, it's only one of several sites that do that kind of work. GoFundMe actually is a good actor in this matter. One of their competitors is helping to raise money for the defendant in the murder case of Deputy Henderson. And I am appealing to them today to take down this site and to refund the money to the donors. Appealing to them not as a matter of law, because...
So why is you doing it? This is crazy. Not as a matter of law, but look at all this law you got behind you. Of course they gonna take it down. I'm appealing to you like I was just being nice or something.
Under current Ohio law, there are significant limits to what I can do, but appealing to their sense of conscience, to the people that own and run this site, I would suggest that maybe they ought to listen to the goals of the founders of Google, whose motto early on was, "Don't be evil." This is not a close call. There are things that I can certainly understand why a business might take the position, hey, we are a platform, we're a facility, we don't judge. And that would make a lot of sense. You don't want political popularity or unpopularity to be driving your business decisions. But this isn't a matter that is subject to that kind of a call. This ought to be a thing that everybody, right, left, in the middle, or outside the spectrum altogether, can condemn and say this is not right. This is not good. We shouldn't be crowdfunding an evildoer.
We shouldn't be crowdfunding an evildoer. What about y'all funding the person that killed his son though? Y'all still funding him? I'm sure he's still at work every day. We ain't heard nothing about him. Anybody even know his name? Has anybody heard his name? While they blasting Rodney Hinton all over the internet and blasting his son all over the internet, where's the cop that killed his son? Does anybody know his name yet?
Now, the competitor to this site, GoFundMe, is a good citizen in this matter. They actually have a policy that says we don't...
Is he still at work? Is he under investigation? What's going on with him? They just completely forgot about him or what?
Do crowdfunding for people who are accused of violent crime. This is a good policy. It is consistent with public policy, and in fact, there were several attempts to start a GoFundMe page for the defendant in this case, and GoFundMe, consistent with their policy, took those pages down as soon as they found them and sent the money back to the donors. That's what should happen here. Well, we have looked at several questions. There was...
Then y'all suspend cops with pay after they kill somebody. Y'all still keep paying them while they not even at work.
Some of you may remember the Son of Sam law, the Berkowitz case in New York, created laws at the state level around the country. We have one here that prevents the selling of the story for personal gain from the commission of a crime. I've looked at that statute. I've also looked at Title 17 of the Ohio Revised Code, which discusses the rules and requirements around charitable fundraising. And I don't see anything at the moment that jumps out as a clear legal theory under current law. The Son of Sam law was not written. In fact, it was before we had such a thing as crowdfunding, a relatively recent phenomenon. It may well be that the General Assembly of Ohio should undertake to pass a law that would regulate this kind of thing as being contrary to the public interest. It would be, I think, pretty easy to enact a law that made GoFundMe's policy the policy of the state, that you may not do crowdfunding for someone accused of a violent crime. Be that as it may, it is my hope today that the platform will itself, because it is the right thing to do, follow their own path. Their terms of service allow them to be cancel a page if it's a violation of community standards. I certainly think that the murder of a law enforcement officer is something that would violate this community's standards, and I'm calling upon them to voluntarily do the right thing. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to have Zachary Gottsman come up. He is the attorney representing the Henderson family.
Thank you, Bethany. My name is Zach Gottsman. I am counsel for the Henderson family. First, as an initial matter, I'd like to thank General Yost for coming forward to address this disgraceful situation. While the Attorney General has limited tools at his disposal on how to respond to this situation, there are legal and equitable claims available to the family that are more broad and give them more tools at their disposal. It is our intention to pursue all claims at their disposal to the fullest extent possible, because it is shocking to the conscience that Give, Send, Go would host a campaign for fundraising for someone who murdered a Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy. It's a flagrant violation of Ohio public policy that anyone should profit from their criminal acts, and it is our intention as attorneys for the family to take legal actions to put an end to that and to recover any proceeds, ensure that those proceeds are disgorged so that this criminal and his family do not profit based on the death of this deputy. Thank you.
That's crazy. Do not profit based on the death of this deputy. That's not what the profit is for. The profit is to help him and his legal side, his mental side, whatever help they need with, whatever family help they need. Also, that son, Ryan, don't forget her son just died too. So y'all taking away from that. Y'all is shady, man.
At this time, Chief Wallace, who's also a member of the SHIELD, will come up. He has a statement from the family.
Thank you. First, let me start off by thanking the media for continuing to give the family the privacy they deserve at this time. Above all else, I want to protect the legacy of my husband, Larry Henderson. He was an outstanding deputy, a loving husband, a devoted father, a kind and decent man. It's heartbreaking that his name is now being connected with something so painful and inappropriate, and an attempt by others to benefit from a tragic of a death. Throughout the incredibly difficult time, our family has been overwhelmed by the outpouring love and support from the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, surrounding law enforcement agencies, and most importantly, the community. The compassion and strength has helped carry us through the darkest days, and we are so grateful. What's most important to me is Larry is remembered for how he lived, with honor, courage, and love, not for the circumstances of his death. We hope that moving forward, his memory will continue.
Thank you, Chief. At this time, we will take questions from the media.
These fundraisers claim to be set up by people related to Ryanhinton's family. Do you have any understanding of whether they're actually connected to the family, or any concerns about whether they might not be?
So we have not looked into the identity verification that this particular site uses. So I don't know.
Shout out to Chan, my black is golden. I haven't seen this part from after here. I ain't seen the rest of this. I only saw like the first 10 minutes. So let's tap in.
Whether there is sufficient cause to believe that they are. On the other hand, I also don't know that there are any reasons to disbelieve it. I would think that the family, if somebody was pirating this, so to speak, they probably would have said something by now.
Have you reached out to this particular company, try to call them, contact them, and see if they take it down?
Yeah, we sent a letter.
Any response from that at all?
Not yet. We just sent it.
We don't know if they may be open to that.
Yeah, I'd love to see them do that.
So under the campaign, this particular one, it's a prohibited campaign. It says benefit groups that support physical violence of any kind.
He looked like he would have owned some slaves back in the days. He would have for sure had a couple.
Are you guys trying to make that argument that in this case it fits in their role?
Well, look, these kinds of things are oh, first of all, is that the GoFundMe rules or? That's there, okay. It is not necessarily that we're making the argument, although I think that you can make.
They ain't say nothing about the white girl though, huh?
That argument. These are internal terms of service. They get to choose whether they live by them. They are not enforceable in the sense of I can go in and compel them to live up to their own terms of service.
So Attorney General Yost, this money is presumably being raised to present a defense for someone who is accused.
Texas T, what's good? What's good? How's it going? Everything good on this end? And what up, brown sugar babe? Have a good night. What up, what up? Appreciate y'all joining.
Accused of a crime. How can you be against someone trying to get the best defense possible?
Well, for starters, if you read the page, that's not what it says. It says that there.
How can you be a defense for someone who is accused of a crime? How can you be against someone trying to get the best defense possible?
Well, for starters, if you read the page, that's not what it says. It says that they're raising money for the decisions the family may have to make. I don't know what that means. It certainly seems quite a bit broader than we're trying to raise money. But the bottom line is that I think it should be the policy of Ohio that crowdfunding platforms are not permitted to raise money on the backs of a notorious and disgusting crime, period.
But it is a crime that has been accused, not convicted.
And you know what?
You're trying to get a defense and raise money for the defense of a crime.
Well, first of all, that's not what the page says, and I'm going to push back on your bad facts. But beyond the bad facts, there's a constitutional right to have a crime, or to have a defense against a crime, and the city of...
Talk about beyond the bad facts. What about the fact that y'all cops back there saying that y'all shot him in the chest when really you shot him in the back? Y'all hiding stuff on the videos. Y'all blurred the video, changed the video. Really didn't have no reason to be running up. I don't know if it's true or not, if that car was a rental, but either way, ain't no need for nobody to be getting shot for no stolen car. Y'all said the gun was pointed at you, but when you look at the video, the gun is obviously not pointing at you. Y'all sitting here lying and lying and lying. Man, y'all so fucking evil.
Cincinnati and the county of Hamilton and the state of Ohio are going to provide an indigent defendant with the resources to do that if they're unable to provide it for themselves. That's different than going out on the street and using technology to crowdfund nationally. I think that it's a horrible use of the charitable system, and I'm against it.
It would be a little trickier, though, even though what you're saying is, because I was looking at this myself, and it never really mentions defense fund that I could see in there. Doesn't that make it trickier if they kind of allude to the fact that we're trying to help his mental health, and couldn't people get around any kind of like reasonable? I see how a company can make a policy like that, but it's difficult. Wouldn't it be difficult for a state to make a policy? Because now you've got to sort out whether they're trying to make a defense fund or some medical issue. Does that make it more difficult?
The only reason anybody cares about this is the violent crime that was committed and the way that it is being whipped up by some people into a cause. The only reason that anybody cares about this is the violent crime that was committed. The only reason that anybody cares about this is the violent crime that was committed.
What? What the hell's wrong with this dude? We care about it because we tired of y'all police brutality. We tired of this unjust crimes y'all committing, and we tired of y'all killing people. Talking about that's the only reason people care about it. Shit, man.
And the way that it is being whipped up by some people into a cause celeb. So no, I think that the accusation of the violent crime is sufficient to say the crowdfunding doesn't go here.
If for any reason, even if it's a mental health reason.
Even if it's mental health,
Even if the money say to treat his mental health or something like that. That's almost what this kind of indicates when I look at that, you know. And I was also interested in what the family can do that you can't, you know.
Well, they have a private right of action for the wrongful death. If they're
that, but I was curious how you would address this other part of it.
Yeah,
You're trying to weed out, well, here's somebody saying, well, there's a medical condition, you know, to make that fit, all the standards that you would have to for a law would be difficult, wouldn't it?
I disagree. Now, obviously, that's why we have a legislature. The Attorney General does not write and pass laws, and I'm sure that some of these questions would be debated. But this would be a fairly easy law to write, that crowdfunding is not available if you're a criminal defendant. And it's a bright line rule that would be easily enforceable. Now, you might ask, is that wise, or should there be exceptions to it? I don't think so. I think that if you've been accused of killing a cop deliberately, which is what happened here, that's your first order of business. Everything else is secondary, and the public has a right to want to intervene in how you're going to raise money from every sympathetic person across the country. It's going to make this very asymmetric.
And we were curious about what you said. You might have some avenues to approach this as well.
Thank you. General Yost should be applauded for stepping forward to address this. He's limited with the tools available to him as Attorney General. The family isn't so limited. There is a clear public policy in Ohio. No one is allowed to profit from their criminal acts. One of the fundraisers on this Give, Send, Go campaign is the defendant's wife. That's his family directly profiting. Now, it's not up to the Attorney General or the legislature to dig in and see where that money went, how it was spent. Was it used for counsel? Was it used for something else? The family through...
It's none of your business, and it's crazy that y'all doing this, and y'all have a whole press conference with all these people here. Like, you got the Attorney General of the state. What the hell is the Attorney General doing there talking about something like this, but you won't talk about how they lying on the video, though? Why are y'all not mentioning that? How y'all not mentioning all the lies y'all telling?
Private action can delve into those issues. There's something more, and I think it's especially repugnant. Give, Send, Go makes money off every penny donated into these crowdfunding campaigns. They are commercially profitable.
I bet y'all making money right now being here talking about this shit. Y'all probably still on the clock.
Off the murder of this deputy. That's repugnant. That should be outlawed. Our legislature should take action to prevent that and make sure that's not available to commercially profit off the death of an officer killed in the line of duty. So the family will be taking steps to delve into those issues. You're right, criminal defendants are entitled to a defense. That's not what these pages say they're for. There's no accountability about how these funds are distributed. And let's not kid ourselves, they're not under oath when they write out those blurbs on Give, Send, Go. They can write whatever they want to circumvent and use the argument, circumvent this public policy and use the argument you just raised about this is for my criminal defense. I guarantee you this money is not being used for criminal defense dollars. So we'll find out. Yeah, or mental health, right? So,
my name's Tom Bruns. I want to co-counsel with Zach here. And one of the things I'd like to point out, and I understand the concerns you raised by your question, but you know that old saying, when people tell you who they are, believe them. These comments on Give, Send, Go are unbelievable, despicable, atrocious. And Give, Send, Go knows that's the comment people are leaving on their site, and they're accepting this money and taking a fee from it. This is not the example that's defensible, right? So sometimes you get a law and you pass a law and there are unintended consequences. Not this case. You cannot defend these donations as they exist, as the donors are expressing themselves on Give, Send, Go.
I'd like to actually address that. Is there a police officer that can step up to answer a question? Representing?
Maybe if you tell us the question, they would decide whether to step up.
It's about this very thing, some of the comments that have been made on, by the donors on these sites, on this site particularly.
What particular comment are you going for?
There are a lot of them, but
And I said Texas T earlier, didn't I? What up, Texas Cat?
not the least of which, there's one that says, a guy at the $5 says death to all pigs.
Death to all Nazis, right? Yes. That comment, I saw that.
Another one that says copycat, you know what to do.
Yep. That's, and so gives it.
This is why I would like a police officer to address, when they see that kind of thing, what goes through their minds.
All right, I'll step aside, but before I do, let me finish with one more thing. Give, Send, Go has rules for service, terms of business, where they have guidelines for what they will and will not accept on their platform. Those comments you just read, and many more just like them, are a clear violation of their own terms of service that they do not enforce. Under the law, if you assume a duty, you fulfill that duty, or you face consequences for not doing so. So, with that said, I don't know if there's another officer or somebody wants to step up and speak to it.
I'll walk up to say something. You know, I'm not prepared to speak outside of what I said about the family, but, you know, you're talking about hate rhetoric that we deal with every day of our life. This is no different than anything. If we block that out and we don't worry about that, because every day we do our job, we're dealing with hate across this country. And it doesn't matter whether it's a result of this crime or any other crime. So it doesn't change anything with us.
He really want to talk about hate. Look at his face. Look, he don't even believe. He know it's bullshit because they so full of hate. This whole meeting is based on hate. Y'all hating on him right now. That's the whole thing is hate. That's all y'all do is hate. Look at the dude behind him. Look. On the right. But look at all of them. Look at them faces. Y'all, that's some hater faces right there.
There are also things in here that say that are clearly a group of people who feel like they've been for decades or hundreds of years wrong. You know, an eye for an eye. We no longer tolerate racial terrorists. We can only take so much. As the mom of a young black boy, it's my worst fear. Stop killing our kids. These types of things. That's got to evoke an emotion when you hear this.
Well, it doesn't, because we deal with it every day. It's just what we deal with in our job on a day-to-day basis. You know, we don't drive down the street and everybody weighs us with a full hand. You know, there's hatred toward us, and we know that. You know, you can ask any policeman up here, they deal with the same thing. You know, if we let our emotions get the best of us when we're dealing with the public, we're not doing our job. You know, everybody in life has biases, right? And you identify your biases and you let those, you got to let things go when you do your job. Our priority is to provide service to the.
See, he already admitted that he biased. He ain't got no problem admitting that. What up, Ali B from Tennessee? I have no idea what this is about. This is about Rodney Hinton getting a GoFundMe, raising over $50,000 plus $100,000 in on his books. And he was the one who ran over the deputy after they shot his son. They shot and killed his son, Ryanhinton. Unjustly, it looked like, but they saying that, yeah, and they saying that he shouldn't be able to get GoFundMe. So they protesting against his GoFundMe to try to shut it down. I think they did shut it down, unless that was the old one.
This public, whether the public likes us or doesn't like us.
Let me just add that this is two separate cases. So the people who are responding to the use of force critical incident involving Ryanhinton.
The unjust use of extreme force, over force, police brutality, killing, murder, homicide.
That is completely different than what we're talking about here today. If Ryanhinton, who is tragically gone from us at a very early age, if there's a website, if there's a funding page for him to help with his funeral expenses, to help his family, that's a different kind of thing than what we're talking about here today. Why all of us are here is because his father used his motor vehicle as a deadly weapon and killed a man who had nothing to do with this while he was on duty as a law enforcement officer. That's what's not okay. Now let's not conflate these two issues. And you in the media can and should help educate the public that these are not the same case. In spite of the fact that there's a father and son relationship, there's two different sets of actions and two different reasons for raising money. And the latter one is contrary to the public interest.
I see what you're saying, that there's stakes in there, but once the family has the money, they can pretty much do what they want to with that money.
Particularly under the broad rubric of this particular page.
Was it? Yeah, I know, it says that, but once the money goes to this family, if they had more than enough to cover the family expenses, assuming that's what they actually needed the money for, or this is actually who's raising the money, we don't even know who's raising this money. Once they get that money, you've got two separate pages, one family, that funnel, you can't stop that. That's the problem with the funnel. I mean,
FFS said, eat a bag of baby never mind.
This one seems to be okay. They want to raise money to save money for the funeral expense. This one they're trying to use it as money to, defend the guy who's accused of killing the deputy. The same family's getting the same
Did I say no one or FFS? I mean FFS is why I said no one.
money. And that's where it becomes difficult to unwrap that fishing line, isn't it?
So the first one is not benefiting from the murder of a police officer. The second one is. And I think, and this is where the public interest of the state of Ohio comes in.
I guess I don't understand why, if we have Son of Sam laws, and you're saying as the description of the Give, Send, Go site, the description you say doesn't say that this is for the defense, that it's for the wife of the guy who's being accused of killing the cop. Why is that not something that you can take action against if it is profiting from a alleged crime?
The Son of Sam law, which we can provide you a copy of, and you'll see it, is very.
That's a good point. Why would it not be a crime? If it's not a crime, why are y'all up here talking about it? Why are you even mentioning it if it's not a crime? Why are you trying to make it into an issue if it's not against your statutes, buddy? And why are you even here? You, Attorney General?
Specific about the nature of the contract that is involved. It has to be a contract for telling the story, expressing the experience in some way. It's designed for TV rights, movie rights, books, and that sort of thing. The situation here is narrow enough that it doesn't fall within the sweep of that law, which was created before we even had crowdfunding, to be honest. It's a 1990s vintage law.
I was wondering if suggesting that Ohio lawmakers tackle crowdsourced funding when it comes to fundraising in cases like this, what kind of constitutionality issues do you see there, and especially kind of going to the point of people paying money for something that they know that they're putting themselves into, even if there's misinformation out there. It's like they've made that choice to pay their money for that campaign unless there's some kind of, fraud, waste, or abuse being reported. I guess that's what I'm kind of asking. It's like, how do you balance that?
Well, look, you couldn't crowd fundraise to raise money to buy methamphetamine for everybody. You couldn't fundraise to poison the water.
Could you crowd fundraise people's taxes to kill them and shoot them unjustly and never be charged with nothing and protect each other and cover up each other and lie on people and lock them up for crimes they never committed? Just a question.
All kinds of reasons why the public interest would limit freedom of action. So the voluntariness of this doesn't particularly bother me. The constitutional question is a good one. And under the First Amendment, the state, the government may regulate speech if there's compelling governmental interest and that it is narrowly tailored. Now that's called strict scrutiny, and the joke amongst lawyers is strict in theory, fatal in fact. But there are moments where a law will pass strict scrutiny. I think this is one of them. And recognize that we have long regulated fundraising, charitable organizations and charitable fundraising, and it is perfectly within the bounds of the Constitution. That's what I'm asking for here, is a reasonable rule, a common sense rule that will reflect that.
Are you seeking to partner with a legislator or legislators?
I haven't gotten that far. I don't know if Zach has talked with any legislators at this point or not.
I have. I can address that. There's a state representative, Cindy Abrams, who's been a proponent, strong proponent for law enforcement. And there's another state representative here locally named Michael Odioso. I've spoken with Mr. Odioso about a legislative amendment or new action modifying the current Son of Sam law or passing new legislation. He has informed me that he's been in touch with Cindy Abrams and they're working on it jointly to come up with that legislation. So.
Yeah, that was some bullshit. Ain't no reason for them to be up in there hating on that man like that. Everybody can see he clearly has got mental issues, going through a mental breakdown still. He in jail. He killed the cop, allegedly, but he ain't had his day in court yet, so he deserved to have proper representation. And his family need to be taken care of still. Like you saying, like, oh, his wife, like, oh, she can't profit off of this. Like, I don't know. But he also had a hearing today as well. So we're going to get into some of that before we roll out. Appreciate y'all being here. Make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe, tap in, share with a friend. Jazzy T said, hey, Queen. Brown sugar, babe.
Not like a week before
Almost
trial.
Friday.
Continue the trial.
Happy almost Friday.
But if you want that, just let me know, okay? Okay, Mr. Bennett, you good? All right, with that being said, every hearing I want an entry signed by the defendant and defense counsel and the state for time, for waiving of time, whether time is waived or not. I have a proposed entry, Ms. Murphy, do you have it? Want to print it out? Did you give it to both? So I will have this entry every time that we have a hearing, continue to the next hearing. Just want everyone aware of it. In case I forget to mention that, make sure you get it from Ms. Murphy every time we've got something going on. Okay, I want to talk about speedy trial. And I want to talk about when this case needs to be tried too, so that we're all on the same page. I have the date of arrest as May 2nd. What do you have it as, Mr. Guinan or Ms. Burroughs?
May 2nd.
May 2nd. Okay, Mr. Bennett?
May 2nd.
So do we all agree then that the time starts on May 2nd?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see.
Yes.
Oh, one thing we all agree on. Okay, that's awesome. That's a great way to start. Thank you for that. Okay. Until today, I think it's when you get the discovery from the state. Now, there has to be a reasonable amount of time that the state is given to provide discovery. I mean, they can't delay and give it to you, in 2 years. That would be unfair. Okay, but I
tell them we want that discovery now.
disagree with you, sir. I don't think today is the day. I think you're still waiving till they get it to you within a reasonable amount of time. Do you disagree with me, Mr. Bennett?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. My point was that I got discovered today. Stop, but I don't have it. So it's still going on. So we're saying the same thing. I'm agree with you.
Thank you very much. Is the state on the same page as Mr. Bennett and I?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, well, what I would like to do today, I obviously have not provided discovery to Mr. Bennett, and I don't know when you will, and if you can give us a date when you think that would be accomplished, that would be great. I want to do a scheduling order today, and I would like to pick a trial date, if we can today, and several other dates and deadlines for filing motions, final pretrial, and I asked Mr. Seitz to come up here today. Thank you so much, Mr. Seitz. Also to assist us in the jury questionnaires, jury hardships, when the jury's coming, so we can all talk and be on the same page, because I would like to pick one trial date and one trial date only and have it go on that day, if we can. Okay? Everyone good with that? Safe? Defense? Mr. Bennett, are you okay? Okay.
I'm ready to go over there to do that. There are a lot of things in the death penalty case that have happened
Understood. But I know you're busy. I know the state's busy. I'm busy. But if we can pick a date today and work towards that and then work back from the dates, and I know it's not going to be tomorrow, and I really don't think it's going to be July, I'm okay with that. But I'd like to get a date today if everybody's comfortable picking a date. So is the state comfortable? Yes. Mr. Bennett, are you comfortable picking a date today?
Yes.
Okay. So assuming, Mr. Bennett, we're not going to go July 31st for a trial, right?
Correct.
And the state would be correct? Yes. When, Mr. Bennett, I defer to you, when are you available? When would you like this trial set?
October 6th.
You'll be ready in October. Okay. October 6th, Murphy?
October 6th. Man, that's what, 10 months? I mean, 5 months. I was thinking of number 10. 5 months.
For us, from the state.
He low-key be moving like Polo, huh? Y'all want to pull up Polo?
I want you to look throughout.
Keep him some company.
Got any other murders or any sex offense cases, any big cases set throughout the month? It's probably going to 2, maybe 3 weeks block out. I'm hoping 2, but I don't know. That's okay.
Your Honor, I have a murder case set on the 6th before you with Mr. Roswell.
Oh, Miss Murphy, do we have a murder set that day? Is that likely to go, Mr.?
It's very early. I assumed it from Ms. Olson. Ms. Lefton from my office is on with me. Mr. Croswell was unavailable until that date before you, about a month ago.
Is this client locked up?
No.
Okay. Any idea if that's, maybe you don't even know, but any idea if that's likely to go or not?
I don't, we haven't had the discussion. We sent him a little bit of supplemental discovery about 3 weeks ago. We've not read anything back from him.
Okay, what else we got? Those first 2 weeks or 3 weeks of October, Murphy, can we do that? We're good? The rest of the week, the next week, and the next week? Okay, looks like we got a trial date of October 6th. Okay, I'm going to do a scheduling order today, so I'm going to write in here 10, 6, 25, 9 o'clock for jury. I do a final pretrial a week before. There will be many dates before that, but I like to do one final pretrial a week before. Ms. Murphy, when would that be? I can't hear you. September 30th. Council, is everybody available September 30th? Before I write that down?
Yes.
Thank you.
They forever standing around him like a guard dog. That's kind of proving that there's something wrong with him then. If they gotta stand there and hover around him like that, it's because something's wrong with his mental capacity. Polo.
Okay, that will also be at 9 o'clock on September 30th. Okay, so Mr. Sykes, thank you so much for being here. I think I need several dates regarding you and the jury. I would like a hardship hearing date for jurors who come in who have hardships, vacation, illness, age. The typical hardships that come in on every single case that we would get when you have juror summons that go out. Do you want to submit them on the 9th and you want the hearing on the 9th about those, or 2 different dates?
I think both. This is
I would prefer at least a day because it'll be the first time we get to see a full council.
Okay.
Questionnaire, we'd like some time to review that.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's do 9-10 then. 9-10-25 at 9 for a hearing. File them by 9-9 at 9. How about that? And then.
Okay, so they probably gonna have a hearing 9-10. That's September. So a month earlier they gonna have some more preliminary hearings. So I'll tap into those. Appreciate y'all being here. Speaking of tapping in, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share with a friend.
9-10, the next day at 9, we'll come in and we'll discuss. Okay? All right. Discovery. Do you want a discovery deadline? Do you want to select a discovery cutout deadline or not? so I'm going to put non-apply on that line. Dispositive motion deadline. So I've got motions, if there are motions to suppress, I want filed by a certain date. If there are the standard motions that are filed in these type of cases, formal pretrial motions that should be heard at the pretrial, but then in these type of murder cases, there are a slew of motions that are filed. So I would like a dispositive motion deadline to be filed. What day would you like, Mr. Bennett? Because it's usually from the defense.
Judge, I've been told that it's going to take approximately 45 to 60 days for me to have all the discovery cases as rulings. So I'll ask for a motion deadline in 30 days after. 30 days after 45 to 60 days, so about 90 days.
Okay, so about 90 days from now, we'll help you with this 1, 2, 3. Do you want it like,
July 31st is the 90th day.
from today? Well, June, July, that would not just be 60 days? Did you say 90?
I was looking for the cutoff.
I'll be about 90 days, July 31st. That'll be 90 days.
I mean, the date of arrest, is what you're saying.
Oh, from date, I mean from today. Okay, so you want, what do you want, July 31st?
All September 1st or August 31st.
No. I need a date, the deadline for you to file your motions. What date do you want?
August 31st, because I'm not going to have all the discovery until about 45 to 60 days.
Well, no, here's my, okay, so we gotta be careful here. So you gotta file your motions, and they need like at least 2 weeks to respond, and then I gotta set them down for the hearing, and we're getting pretty close to the trial date. Don't you want these decided before the trial? I mean, if you don't, you want me to decide before the trial, I will, but I would think you'd want some time for, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but for strategy and trial purposes. I can do that, Mr. Bennett, but we're getting pretty close to that October 6th jury trial date. This is why we're talking about it.
I need that August 31st day. The court is going to extend it, that's fine. I can't file the motion until I have all the discovery. I'm going to need about 30 days after I get all the discovery to determine whether the filing the motion may or may not be appropriate.
Understood, so
I need about 30 days from after the time that the discovery, which I've been told is about 45 to 60 days.
is it 45 or 60 days that you're going to get them discovered? It's going to matter. We might have to move this trial date back because, again,
Then we have to make a date, then I'm going to err on the side until 60 days.
so you will get discovery to the defense.
They already know it's gonna be delays. They already making delays in the case.
60 days from today or 60 days from the date of arrest?
60 days from today.
So today is May 22nd. So July 21st, is that when you're going to have discovery?
Yes, but if we don't have a discovery cutoff, I'm hoping you can not hold us to that. We are going to do our best to get as much discovery as possible. We'll shoot for getting all the discovery by July 20th.
Why would it take them 60 days to get discovery? They acting like this is like a big drug deal case or something. Like, we just need the camera footage. Can you give us the camera footage from the CCTV or whatever the fucking camera, the street camera?
First, as of today, over 300 items have been logged.
What up though, Stacy Sibbett? Appreciate you joining, families. Stacy Sibbett say hit the like button if you're watching.
And there are still more to go. There is a number of body-worn cameras in this case because of the sheer number of officers and responders to see. It is incredibly large.
Okay.
It really is time to do that.
Understood. Again, though, I'm watching time. I want to be cognitive of the time that you need to get everything, cognitive of your time, Mr. Bennett, to go through everything yourself and with your client, and then time to file your motion, them to respond and me to hear it, and then try the case. So you guys, I don't want to change these dates, but I'm certainly flexible with the dates that I will give you. So you tell me, I just want you to meet these dates, and I don't want to have to delay this. So if you need more time, or if you need the trial pushed back, let me know that. I'm fine, but I don't want to change these dates. And be fair to everybody. Yeah, sure.
Judge, I believe the state has been requesting that now we set January.
For trial?
Yes.
Okay. Can you print me out a...
YP Com Chick, what up though? Appreciate you joining, family.
Absolutely fine, and I appreciate you both. We want to do this, and we want to do this right, and we're going to take the time that everybody needs. So I applaud you for that. Thank you so much. So, page 1 and page 2, if you don't mind. I'm good either day, either the 12th or I guess the 20th, right? Which day would you all like? Okay, so we're going to pick a new trial date, January 12th of 2026. You're willing to waive?
Damn, that shit went from October to January already. Well, I mean, you know, that's what, 7 months now instead of 5. But damn. I'll be like, hold on, wait, that's 2 more months. And while we here, let me see, let me show some love. Y'all show some love, well, actually, let me get that ready. Shout out to Joni Ford, though, I got you.
Thank you so much. We'll do a final pretrial, Ms. Murphy. Can you give me a date the week before?
The 6th.
January 6th, is all council good that day?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. 2026 at 9. Okay. Hi, Mr. Seitz. We're going back to a hearing date for juror hardship. So maybe I should go back and say the date that the date that the summons go out 4 weeks before the trial would be
sometime the week of December 8th.
Okay, because December 12th is a Friday, so what day would you like? Do you want to do December 8th? That's a Monday.
Let's do December 10th, if that's okay.
Okay.
And Monday is probably the last week we'll bring jurors in for the year, so I got a couple days there.
Okay, I'm going to say 12/10/25. That will be the day that the jurors report. That will be the day that the jury summons go out. Okay? And then the date that the jurors should report would be...
the absence of evidence is not the evidence.
What? 1/9. Thank you very much.
Yo, big shout out to Joni Ford. Appreciate the donation, family. The 5 gifted memberships. Shout out to Gemini Rising, Milton Lane, One Nation, T. Roberts, Destined to Be. Y'all all got gifted some memberships. Appreciate the love, family. Y'all show Joni Ford some love and drop some slime brothers all up in the chat. Appreciate you, family. Let's get it.
1/9/26 at 9, the jurors report. The date for the juror hardships. What would you like for that, Mr. Seitz?
Technically January 2nd to give us a week to respond to anyone's excuse so they don't show up.
Okay. Counselor, January 2nd, the juror hardship day. That's a Friday.
That's a day, you could say.
Right.
I'm available.
Okay.
The state is not.
Okay.
I will be out of town. We do it on Monday the 5th instead.
I can do that.
Could Ms. Bennett? Okay. All right, so January 5th of 26 at 9 for juror hardships, and the jurors will come to begin the trial on January 12th. Okay. Now, proposed questionnaires from the council. What date would you like for that? You want to do the beginning of December? So, you might add that first week of December. Yeah. You want to do sometime the first week of the 8th of December? What day would you all like to come in to talk about? Well, I need...
You want to go on the 10th of December and say that you're something about?
The what day? The 10th? Okay, so if you could each file your questionnaires on the 9th, and then we could meet on the 10th, does that work?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
12/9, they will be filed, and then we'll have a hearing on 12/10 at 9 o'clock. Okay, great. Moving on. Okay, so then, Mr. Bennett, we're to dispositive motion deadline for you. You want like October? What do you want for your dispositive motion date? And again, I'm going to go through dispositive motions, which are the general ones. Motion to suppress and then pretrial motions. Because I think there's like, I consider them like 3 categories. What day would you like, sir?
End of October.
So how about October 27th is a Monday? Could you do that?
That's the statement.
No, this is for the defense to file their motions? Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. 10, 27, 25. Now, how much time does the state need to respond?
2 weeks.
Okay, so that would be November 10th. And then I want a hearing date on this motion. You want to do it November 24th? That's the Monday before Thanksgiving. That work for you, Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
First for the state.
Okay, November, please that work for us? Okay, at 9 o'clock? Okay.
The absence of evidence is not
Suppress
evidence.
I know it's kind of hard for you to say, Mr. Bennett, if what you're going to file.
Yo, keep the slime brellas going for my boy FFS and drop some FFS emojis all up in the chat for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I'm just playing. I think it's like 6 or 7 of them. Shout out to FFS. Appreciate. Oh, and he just dropped another one. Appreciate the support, family. Y'all show FFS some love. Go crazy with the slime brellas and the FFS in the chat. Spam the chat. Let's get it, family. Appreciate the support. Drop y'all some bombs. I dropped yours late, Joni, but I dropped one for you. I dropped 2 of them right here. One for you, for both of y'all. Appreciate y'all being here, family. Appreciate the love. Y'all show them some love in the chat. Hit the like button. Share this so we can get up in the algorithm. Keep it going. Appreciate the love, family. Boom. One for Joni. Boom, boom. One for FFS. Appreciate y'all, family. Let's get it.
Maybe you won't even file, but I just need to put a deadline for that. What would you like?
Judge, we understand deadline, deadline.
Sure. 10/27. Thank you very much. Do you want me to? I'll put the same date for hearing for a motion to suppress on the same date, 11/24. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Any other pretrial motions that you would want heard at the pretrial? I'd like to have you set like maybe a month before so you have a time to respond and then we can just discuss them at the pretrial. So I'm thinking like, what about, could you file them by say December 8th? Any pretrial motions? That would give you 2 weeks for the state to respond to the 22nd, and then we could hear them on the pretrial on the 6th. Would that work?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So 12/8/25, all other pretrial motions, and the state response. Murphy, I know I'm changing this up a little bit. On the 12/22, and then hearing at the pretrial. And there might not be any, but at least we have them set down, okay? Okay. If there is a request to view the scene, which you may or may not decide either side, I want that a month in advance so I can make the appropriate arrangements if we need to do that. So if the trial date is January 12th, I'd like that filed by December 12th. Okay? Jury instructions. Jury instructions I also would like a month in advance, so I would also like those on the same day, 12/12/25. Any requested jury instructions? Okay. I would like to have a pre-trial or report day, whatever you want to call it, every month, once a month, just to check in on everybody to see everyone's going. It doesn't have to be the same day every month, but it can be. So,
My bad, I'm on mute over here. Look like we actually might be getting pre-trial, some more hearings in between. She said one every month. Hopefully they go live with all those, because you know we got to keep up to date too. And shout out to FFS with another 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate you, family.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
What?
If you got gifted a membership, please show FFS some love. Appreciate the support, fam. Y'all show them some love, show them some love. Let me see. Officer Depu Becky. Oh, Dubecky. Officer Dubecky. Officer Dubecky, Miss Suspicious, Famia Johnson, Leah, Plans and Pins. Y'all all got gifted memberships. If y'all in here, y'all show FFS some love. Appreciate you, family.
I need a pre-trial date in June, so I'm thinking, I don't know, do you guys have a preference on a Monday, Thursday?
Our only issue with June is we're unavailable the week of June 23rd.
Lady Justice is blind. Everybody will hear me.
Mondays or Thursdays is what I'm asking. Does it matter at all?
No.
Okay. Well then, I'm going to pick, am I here June 19th? Oh, okay, that's fine, I'm free. How about June 18th? June 18th, would that work?
Yes.
For everybody? Okay, June 18th at 9. I'm not going to take the rest of the dates now. How about July, can we do July 9th at 9? It's a Wednesday.
That's fine.
Yep, sure. Thank you. How about August 13th?
July 9th is the next one, huh? I guess I might have missed June.
August 13th. Mr. Bennett, whenever you're ready, check your schedule.
Yeah.
September, how do I look, am I here September 10th?
No.
How about the 17th?
Yes.
September 17th?
I would just know we're all going to be here on the 10th for a hearing on the questionnaire.
Oh, okay. Apparently we're not.
We moved it.
Oh, we said that was the old one?
That's the old one.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, no.
So many dates for tomorrow.
So September 17th for report?
Yes.
Okay. And then October, we do October 15th, am I here?
Yes.
And then we're here, let's see.
Hold on one second, family. I got something I'm going to play for y'all real quick.
I think that's okay. Do you want another date that month? To check in? Okay. All right. Great. Do you think there's any other dates right now at this time that we need to select for anything? And we can always add them, but I'm just trying to get a schedule at least right now for everybody while we're here. Okay. Okay, great. So I'm going to tell you that every regular pretrial, every report, every conference that's scheduled by the court, I expect all counsel to be here, okay? The counsel, all 3 of you, okay? All motions to be filed by the prosecution and the defense shall be numbered in sequential order, and each motion shall have a caption including briefly the nature of the motion.
I want to start off with saying, first of all, our condolences to the grieving families, because this is not easy for anybody. And no matter what family you are, there are victims in this, and they're not just the people that have passed away.
Okay, and posteriorly, we've got diverse processes. Okay, so it's important to know that
I'm gonna push mute right before I click it. Posteriorly, he's talking about posteriorly. You can see it right here on this picture. Posterior, that's the back. And she said posterior how many times? And then she tried to act like she didn't want to say the word back. So that must have been what they told her when she went to that that jury summons, that grand jury. They must have told her you can't say back or we gonna be on you or something. That's why she kept on posterior. But obviously we could all see posterior is back.
The spinous processes of the vertebrae face posteriorly and their vertebrae.
Which was under different circumstances, but so earlier this morning, our fugitive apprehension unit, along with some uniformed officers, became aware of a stolen vehicle in a parking lot of an apartment complex, 2500 Warsaw Avenue. When the uniformed officers rolled up, 4 individuals ran from the vehicle. One of them, at least one of them, was armed with a firearm. The several officers gave chase, and one officer discharged his firearm towards the individual who had a firearm, struck that individual. That individual is deceased.
The next gunshot wound that I discussed was perhaps the same bullet. We're not sure, but it's certainly in the same vicinity of the left forearm if somebody were running. And that was immediately left lateral chest. So a few inches below the armpit, but truly in the side.
He was shot on the side.
Yes.
Parallel. And so it was, the fatal wound was one that came through the armpit, exited the sternum, so he was not shot in the chest or the back.
Posterior, back, clearly says back. And y'all show some love for Joni Ford with another 5. Appreciate you, family.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
What? All side.
Just below the armpit. So that is still considered.
Go crazy with the slime umbrellas. She's talking about just below the armpit. That's still the chest, but it's the back. She said, what did she say? Opposition chest, or what did she say? I forgot. It's gonna come up though.
Chest. It's just the side of the chest. Yeah.
And then the other one, I'm a little still confused on the second one that hit him in the shoulder. Where did that enter?
I said upper posterior lateral chest. I know, you're gonna have to go look it up.
Yeah, exactly where that is.
Go look it up. I'm gonna keep it.
You're saying the back of the
posterior lateral, adjacent to the shoulder.
There you go, adjacent to the shoulder. That's the word I was looking for.
Right there, he had the gun in a bladed position. It was the police chief that said he was shot in the chest. Now, the medical terminology of posterolateral, I'm not a medical professional. The police chief says, because I spoke to her a little while ago, that's basically the chest area.
The back
even
of the
though
chest.
the coroner says it was shot like right here.
Look at that. Look. Do that look like posterior? Like right here. That is not where he was shot at.
Kind of like underneath your armpit. And exited the chest.
Okay, and posteriorly, we've got diverse processes. Okay, so it's important to know that the spinous processes of the vertebrae face posteriorly, and their vertebrae.
And I do want to clear up, based on information that we received, the individual was struck in the chest. It exited out the back.
And how can they just come and just clearly lie? How can they just blatantly lie and just have no type of consequences? And he want to talk about crowdfunding and all this, about them raising money for that, but y'all clearly sitting here getting paid for killing people, for murder. Y'all still at work getting paid for killing his son. Did you go against and say anything about them? Anything about this boy right here that y'all killed?
Ryan, were held at Living God Church in Avondale. We were not permitted to be inside the church or speak to any family members, but you can see a pretty large crowd there outside of the church.
So there's a little bit of, and that was her first time that she did speak. Any comments that she said that were coming out of the coroner's office, those were not her. Today was the first time she spoke to anyone about these findings. The the press conference today. What did your autopsy find?
I presented the media with written report of the preliminary autopsy findings, but I can tell you that there were 3 entrance wounds and 2 exit wounds.
And he felt threatened for his life, and that's why he discharged his firearm.
How many times did the officer discharge firearm?
We believe 4 or 5.
And hit him.
We all feel threatened for our life. That's why his dad, never mind.
We believe twice.
So one of the entrance wounds was, and an exit wound was in the left forearm, and it was soft tissue only. It was through the skin and muscle of the left forearm and then exited. The next gunshot wound that I discussed was perhaps the same bullet. We're not sure, but it's certainly in the same vicinity of the left forearm if somebody were running. And that was immediately left lateral chest. So a few inches below the armpit, but truly in the side. And that hit a 7th rib on the side and traveled through the chest cavity and through the left ventricle, and it exited the chest near the sternum. And then there was a 3rd entrance wound, which was upper posterolateral chest, adjacent to the right shoulder. And it stayed in the skin, just beneath the skin, and traveled just beneath the skin upwards in the soft tissues of the neck, and then stopped below the skull, below the base of the skull. And it didn't go through any bones or any major soft tissue structures. It really stayed just below the skin, just deep to the skin.
So can you point, so it looks like the second one that was like under his armpit, that one was the one that killed it.
Yeah, that was the lethal wound, correct.
Point to where it is on you, and is that the one that they, I guess, the police seeing that he's been shot in the chest, is that what they thought was the shot?
That must have been, but it was really the side. I mean, it's underneath you.
Talk about that must have been what they thought. No, she was clearly lying. It was clearly a lie. Talk about that must have been what they thought. No, they said that to cover up. And think about this too. If she said he was shot in the chest and it came out the back, then that means there was a hole, or the hole that she's talking about was in the back, right? So she said it was the back. The deputy chief or whatever said that it was an exit wound in the back. And then this lady right here just said that it was actually an entry wound, not an exit wound. YP Comp Chick said, I'm mad about it. Shout out to Brooklyn. Y'all show them some love. Drop them some slime brothers in the chat.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
What?
Appreciate the support. Shout out to Brooklyn family. But yeah, that's crazy. You clearly see it's the back.
If you lift your arm, it was underneath where your arm would be if you just have your arms on the side. So it's really on the side.
So to make it clear, the autopsy showed he was not shot in the chest, correct?
No.
When you were doing your findings, you were going to have a press conference last week. What's correct?
Arms on the side, so it's really on the side.
So the lady said he was shot in the chest and it came out the back.
So to make it clear, the autopsy showed he was not shot in the chest, correct?
No.
When you were doing your findings, you were going to have a press conference last week. What happened there?
Because I had to cancel
And why did you cancel your press conference from last week?
So in my 13 years of being in this office, I've never been served with a grand jury subpoena. And there were things written in the subpoena that I didn't really understand, not being an attorney. And I sought some advice from some people and people who had, been in the prosecutor's office 40 plus years. And in those years, to my understanding, no Hamilton County coroner has ever been served with a grand jury subpoena. So there wasn't a whole lot of experience to go on here. And so I had to take a breath and say, well, for now, I'm going to have to cancel the press conference until I can figure out what this is about. And then over the past few days, spent a lot of time getting advice and finding out what I should be doing as the coroner and as an independently elected coroner, and what I've always done, which is being transparent with the public, the media. And I've had a number of written requests by the media and, complying with.
So that is good though. That's why she able to speak out, because she independently elected. And I think that's what she kind of trying to promote and trying to get more people to start voting for that type of stuff. But she don't have to follow they rules. They can't just shut her down, which they kind of did though, because she was supposed to do this that Friday, but then they sent her a subpoena that Thursday and shut it all down and had her come to the grand jury. And then she ended up not doing it till I think this past Tuesday. So they did shut it down, but she still came back when she found out it was nothing they could really do. So she kind of like trying to blow the whistle, but she kind of still lying about some stuff, like saying, the side, when we all know it was the back. So I don't know exactly how I feel about her.
The Ohio Revised Code that governs coroner operations, and with respect to what we may provide to the media as far as preliminary autopsy.
And that's crazy right there. Why did they change the wording from shall to may? Everybody know the pro se syntax grammar, like in court work, paperwork or whatever. Shall means you have to do it. May means it's up to you. It's at your discretion. And of course they're gonna be like, nah, don't share that shit. That's why we changed it. So you bet not share it.
Some findings, access to photographs, and so forth. I realize that I really need to present this in a factual manner to the public and to the media. And the second part of it is that, as you know, I found out late Friday night that preliminary autopsy findings were already disseminated by somebody else in another department and referred to according to the coroner's office, quote unquote. And they were not exactly correct or complete. And so I felt like instead of having other people speak about work that we do and that we have done, that the public has a right to hear it from me and from my office. And so that we can relay the complete and accurate findings. And that's why I felt like, okay, now I know what I need to do here.
So on top of that, the police also lie, or whoever they talking about, that she ain't actually said, but the police the only ones who said it. So they actually lied and said that they had the information from her when they really didn't even get it from them. They was lying about the chest and back shit. What up, Cha Diggy? I see you, family. Appreciate you joining.
And so I had the press conference this morning to clarify all that, as I had originally wanted to do on Friday.
So on Friday morning, you're supposed to have a press conference. Your press conference was going to state what you just told me, that he wasn't shot in the chest, in fact. But later that day, and yours had to be canceled because the prosecutor's office sent you 2 subpoenas to shut it down. I'm just stating facts here. Right?
I was on Thursday. The subpoenas were served on Thursday.
So, and then after that is when the police chief, as part of the collaborative agreement, talks to a group and states that via the coroner's office, the autopsy showed that he was shot in the chest, correct?
Arm and chest is the clip that I saw.
So where did she get that erroneous information?
I'm not sure where that information came from. So technically speaking, the lethal wound is left lateral chest. So most people, when they say, was somebody shot in the chest, they talk about the front of the chest. And I think that's the common understanding when you say the chest. Most people say front of the chest is considered chest, or what in medical terms is the anterior chest. They consider the chest.
What up, Miss Leah? Appreciate you joining. Appreciate you thanking the person that gifted you also.
But in this case, it was left lateral chest on the side. That's still chest. It's just left lateral chest, or what common terms and lay person terms would be is they were shot in the side.
Right, and when you're talking about an officer-involved shooting, I think most people would assume when you say shot in the chest, you're thinking boom, right in the sternum in the chest, because that man must have been facing the officer or something like that, and that's how we got to a chest shot.
And that may be how that happened. And that's why I wanted to clarify that is, in medical terms, it's left lateral chest, but it's the side. It's underneath the, it's below the armpit, under the arm. Basically, when the arm is not in that position, that's where that happened. And I was asked during the press conference if the forearm wound could possibly be the same bullet that struck the left lateral chest, and the answer is we can't be sure, but it's possible that if somebody had their arm bent when they're running, and your arms go forward and backward when you're running, that it's possible that one bullet could have gone in and out the forearm and into the side of the chest there, the left lateral aspect of the chest.
So do you feel like you needed to get this information out because, not only because you're an elected official and you serve the people and you want to get this information out, the correct information, but do you feel like the information that was being passed along was just incorrect information?
I felt that it was incorrect and incomplete, and I felt that it's up to our office to make sure the public gets the accurate information. And so I did. I felt compelled to make sure that the information that's being referred to as coming from our office was actually coming from our office and actually accurate. And that's why I felt it was important that I had a press conference to do that. And I also, as I stated before, there are 2 grieving families here and an entire community grieving around these deaths. And, no matter how you look at it, we have an 18-year-old who's lost his life. And as a mother, I can't even imagine what his mother is going through. And if the least I can do to give her some peace is to be accurate with the description, that's something that I can do. And I hope that the community-wide see this as what it is, which is I'm trying to calm everybody's tensions down and saying, look, we're doing the best that we can. We have done the best that we can. We took very good care of Ryan. And we just wanted to make sure that the public knew the truth about and then accurate preliminary findings from the autopsy.
But it seems to me like because the accurate information is coming out now after the inaccurate information was out, now it seems like the whole idea of all these officers being transparent, trying to get the information out of it being a justified shooting. And I'm not saying it wasn't a justified shooting. I'm just saying it looks as if we so-called jumped the gun in getting the right information. Because what people were imagining, I was imagining is...
She talk about jump the gun. You mean lying? They straight up lying. Talk about jump the gun. No, you didn't jump the gun. You lied. Not her, but the chief of the police.
Was a shot to the chest. And that's what the officer said. But this indeed wasn't that. But we've been going with that since this happened. So now it's almost like I can understand people kind of getting upset instead of being calm.
Well, I understand that, which is why I tried to do this earlier. But one of the things that in the interest of transparency, we also try to avoid in our office is providing precipitous information that you then have to retract. Okay. So, which is one of the reasons why I stated these are preliminary autopsy findings. I was asked about other laboratory studies and so forth, and I said, no, those are still pending. And even though I have some results, I am not willing to give part of it out. And then
he was hit 3 times. It's 3 hits, but they saying that one of them might be from the same bullet. They not sure or not because they only found 2 bullets. But he was hit 3 times. One of them went straight through his arm, but it only hit the flesh part though. It didn't hit no bones or nothing.
Not the rest of it, and then have to worry about, well, wait a minute, it wasn't quite complete when we gave it to you, we have to retract it. I don't want to do that.
It was 4 or 5 shots, but he was only hit 3 times.
But I did want to provide accurate results of something.
But what's crazy though is that one of them hits came from hit him in his right side. So either it was like his body turned and they still shot him, or somebody else shot him from the other side. I don't know.
Something that we did complete, which was the autopsy. And and I can't answer to, I know there are all sorts of conditions of the collaborative agreement. And I can't imagine what kind of pressure they're under to try and comply with those in a timely manner. But for our part of it, we try to do everything as quickly as we can. And we did release his body within a couple of days of receiving his body after we did the autopsy. And my understanding is that the family obtained an independent autopsy after that. So my findings that I put out there today should not be a surprise to the family.
That's good they got another autopsy, because you know you can't trust a lot of these people, man. These people be lying.
Because they already had an independent autopsy done.
The family attorney said that they're awaiting materials from the coroner in order to have to complete their own autopsy. Is that true?
They asked for the preliminary autopsy findings, and they were provided with the preliminary autopsy findings in writing.
Okay, so they're not waiting on anything. They've got everything.
They asked for preliminary autopsy findings, and they were provided with those today.
She like, I ain't gonna say they got everything. They got what they asked for. They asked for preliminary findings, and we gave them preliminary findings, but that don't mean we gave them everything. We gave them what they asked for.
All right. So I just want to reiterate this, because this to me, I don't want it to be insightful here, what we're doing, but to me, it just rings that way. And I know that a lot of people have been on our desk and sending emails that, you know, the whole transparency, because this doesn't seem transparent. And all of a sudden, he wasn't shot in the chest. So you can understand a lot of people kind of being angry here, correct?
I do understand. And again, what I said is, you know, you have to be careful about giving very precipitous information so quickly. There has to be a balance between the transparency that you promised. And there's nothing wrong with being transparent, but being complete and being accurate, I think, is just as important. And when I did receive written requests from the media as early as, I think, the Monday after the shooting, for preliminary findings, I responded with, I promise to give you those, but give us a chance to do further work here and further investigation before I give you those results, because we want to make sure that we're accurate. We want to have a meeting. We want to discuss it as physicians in the office, and then we'll give you the findings and make sure that everybody's on the same page. And that's what we did, and that's what we promised to do.
All right, last thing, and I'll ask, you know, the other side's all this, but it seems to me like we have this officer involved shooting. I know the police chief said that he was shot in the chest. You know, they're undergoing an investigation. The Hampton County prosecutor, Connie Pillich, said that it was a shot to the chest. You had a press conference talking about what your findings are, which, by the way, contradict those two things. And you had your press conference canceled by the prosecutor and given subpoenas so that you weren't unable to talk. And ultimately, you talked.
She said canceled by the prosecutor, so the prosecutor is the one who put that subpoena in. Prosecutor like, hey, shut that down. Don't have them up there talking about this stuff. Wait, so which prosecutor though? For prosecutor for what? For the Ryanhinton? So the person that's supposed to be prosecuting the cop or what? Have a good night, Miss D56. Appreciate you, family, and congratulations on another year. But yeah, that's crazy though.
Anyway, just doesn't ring very clear. Is that pretty much correct, what I'm saying?
Well, I guess this is one of those situations that's a clear example of why you want an independently elected coroner. Every county in Ohio needs that. And it's for situations like this, where I am able to provide this service to the people of this county because I am independently elected. And I can speak to the media and I can speak to the public because I'm independently elected. And if I were appointed by a group of people, say the Board of Commissioners, as the House Bill 96 is passed, then I would be answerable to them, not to the 800,000 plus people of this county. So this goes to show you why it's important to have your independently elected officials so that they can provide independent and objective investigations and provide that information to the public.
Correct, because if you just look at what I laid out, it doesn't really pass the smell test.
I understand.
She hit her with the smell test. She must have been watching the YSL trial. She said it really don't pass the smell test. Of course it don't pass the smell test because they lying. What the hell?
But my office.
Correct, because if you just look at what I laid out, it doesn't really pass the smell test.
I understand. But my office does independent and objective investigations and provide that information to the public.
Correct, because if you just look at what I laid out, it doesn't really pass the smell test.
I understand. But my office, this is what we do, this is what we provide. We provide the transparency and we try and provide as accurate an information as we can. And we won't provide it precipitously so that then we have to go back and change it. We want to give you as much information as we can in a timely manner, but we're also a department that depends on science and the laws of nature and evidence, and we want to provide you that in a professional.
So why she didn't point to her side during the press conference? Why she pointed when the one lady was talking, but not when the other one was talking? No, when that man was asking her about where that side shot was.
Manner, which means we wait until we get the answers that we can provide you accurately.
Okay, and last thing, is there any way that you can determine, if gun residue, any way, manner, and shape that you can determine whether or not he raised his arm, because, the video was shaky.
Yeah, unfortunately, the positioning of the arms and so forth, we can't determine on autopsy. As far as was there any gunshot residue on his hands, if the implication is did he fire the gun, I think that comes out in the firearms analysis. But also, just because somebody has gunshot residue on their body doesn't necessarily mean that they fired a gun. It could just mean they were within the vicinity of a gun that was fired, or in his case, that he was shot. So there's a certain amount of gunshot residue that's going to end up on him or around him.
And when you think about it, think about how many people they be locking up talking about using all that gunshot residue. But she's saying that don't even determine if you shot a gun or not. So how's they using that against people, not even knowing it don't even prove that you shot them. And think about with the YSL with Shannon Stillwell and how they was didn't find no gunshot residue, but they was still trying to act like he did the shot. So they don't care. They do what they want to do.
So that's not necessarily a very accurate test for what you're asking. As far as whether the gun was fired or not, that would be a firearms analysis, and they could do that. They could do that. They could tell you that. Positioning of the arms, we can't. I mean, there's no way to really know. And the other question of, well, do you know which bullet wound happened first? There's no way to do that either. I mean, there's no way to time that.
Okay, so let me ask you the last thing. So I'm going to go back in when you got your penis.
Then the third last thing.
Okay, I know, because that's the way my mind works. Oh my God, I can't think backward, dude. Okay, so this is, I think, the last thing. You got the 2 subpoenas to quash your press conference, and and shut up, don't talk to the media about the findings of your autopsy. Now, you did it anyway. So what did you have to do? Did you call the office? Did you say, no, I want to talk anyway? Why did you ultimately make the decision to do it anyway? What did you?
There have been many discussions about the implications of that grand jury subpoena. And like I said, I've never had one, so I didn't really understand what I could or couldn't do. So in the interest of just being cautious until I could learn what the implications were, I postponed or I canceled the press conference. And knowing that I had to have one at some point in the future, but let me find out what it means to receive this grand jury subpoena and what I can and can't say to the public, or is there a restriction? And, then I found out that as an independently elected coroner and, I am not part of the grand jury, so I could speak to the press. And And once I discovered that that was the case, then I put it back on. I said, okay, well then I need to have this press conference so I can give out accurate information.
And did you have to hire an attorney to do so?
I did have to consult private counsel or independent counsel for that, yes.
Okay. Anything else that you can think of that you want to add on here? Give me one more question.
Really only that I know the public is very interested in this case. I mean, and as well as other cases that are coming along, I'm sure. I would just ask the public to keep calm and think about things. And
why they always saying keep calm, keep calm? Y'all need to tell them officers keep calm before they shoot people. They need to start keeping calm instead of just coming out here going crazy on killing all these people out here like it's just the thing to do. How about that too? Make sure you include that.
More than just one point of view. There's usually so many different points of view, and it's really important as we're moving forward as a community that everybody think about all the different points of view before you jump on one or the other. And that's one of the reasons why I think being precipitous with what information you give to the public can be problematic, you know, during an investigation.
But you can also see how the public would have a hard time with this, knowing that you were just trying to do your job, get out the fact that the autopsy showed he was not shot in the chest, and you were ordered by the prosecutor's office to not give that information, and you had to hire your own attorney in order to give that information out to the public.
Well, I don't know if I was ordered by the prosecutor's office, but by being served with a grand jury subpoena and not knowing what that really meant as far as what I could and couldn't do, as far as my statutory obligations to the public, I had to find out.
Perfect. Anything else you can think of?
Shooting, is this the investigation being treated as a homicide investigation?
Right now, it is still under investigation to determine exactly what it is, but since a homicide unit was the lead on yesterday's incident, they are involved in...
Homicide is always in charge when it's an officer-involved shooting. Remember, Detective Quinn told us that. But homicide needs to be there anyway because it was a homicide. Y'all killed that little boy.
A joint effort with the traffic unit on today's incident.
And so sometimes you have to be a little tough on them. We're a little tougher overall. Maybe it's because we feel like we have to prove ourselves a little harder. I think what people would say about me, not that I am so tough, but that I am a rule follower.
Chief Thiegy says that she learned important lessons from former Chief Elliot Isaac during the George Floyd protests.
Especially when he chose to take a knee. It's not about police versus the protesters.
It's about police. It's about protesters versus police brutality. Why you didn't mention that part? And your ass lying.
It was about him understanding and telling them that he hears them. He understands where they're coming from.
Who in your family influenced you?
My father was a captain with the Cincinnati Police Department when I was a young child. His two brothers. I'm from a family of 8 children. 5 of us were in law enforcement, 4 with Cincinnati, 1 with Hamilton County Sheriff's Department. Of those 5, I was the last one to come on. When I was in those 5, I was the last one to come on. When I was in the recruit class 33 years ago, I said, I'm with Hamilton County Sheriff's Department. Of those 5, I was the last one to come on. When I was in those 5, I was the last one to come on.
Shout out to FFS for another gifted membership. Appreciate you, family. Y'all show them some love. Drop them some slime brothers.
I was in the recruit class 33 years ago. I said, I want to be the first female police chief in the city of Cincinnati. Really not thinking that it would come to fruition, but it...
Homicide. And then for the last wound, the bullet was still in his body during the autopsy. Samarco said it entered on the right posterolateral chest. It entered on the right
posterolateral chest. That's the back. You can see it's very clearly the back. Why do they keep saying side and all this other shit?
Lateral chest. Literally translated, it is still part of the chest, but it's towards the back and the side. It's kind of adjacent to the shoulder. Samarco said that bullet was found just below the base of the skull. So I tried to ask the coroner in plain English, if you will, was Ryanhinton shot in the back? And she said no, emphatically. As a refresher, on May 1st, an unnamed Cincinnati police officer shot and killed the 18-year-old as he was running from police. The officer said in police interviews afterwards that during the chase, Hinton had emerged from dumpsters pointing a gun.
Now look at how clear this is. That's crazy. They keep on showing that blurry footage, talking about how blurry and shaky it is. This is very clear. Where is the rest of this footage? How is this so much clearer than the rest of it? We've all seen this everywhere. I don't know how they getting away with that. Talking about and look at hold on. Let me zoom in. Let's see if he pointing the gun at him. I could blow this up for y'all real quick, family. Let me see. Let's get a closer look. Do anybody see a gun in his hand?
At the officer. The coroner said the Hamilton County prosecutors served her a subpoena on Thursday, and she believes that is the first one in the county in 40 years. She's talking to us, the media, anyway, because she says misinformation was being shared.
Right there, and he had the gun in a bladed position. It was the police chief that said he was shot in the chest. Now, the medical terminology of posterolateral, I'm not a medical professional, the police chief says, because I spoke to her a little while ago, that's basically the chest area, even though the coroner says it was shot like right here, kind of like underneath your armpit, and exited the chest.
We wanted to present you with the actual facts and not have conjecture out there with somebody saying this and somebody saying this, and and it's all confusing, and then the tensions are going up. So let me provide you with the actual facts.
Ryanhinton was laid to rest on Saturday. His funeral was held in Avondale. Now, the coroner would not share when she will appear before that grand jury. That's something I asked her, because that is the next step in this process.
It's still close to the neck, and it has attachment points for neck muscles. In this case, it has an attachment for the posterior scalene.
All right. The posterior scalene, the back. And so why is it so different for us than it is for stuff like this? I mean, this guy can sit here and stab a police officer. I had one where they had an AK pointed at the cop, and the cop just backed up and ran with another Caucasian, of course. But how can they just do this? I mean, why is it so different for these type of situations? He clearly gonna stab the officer, but they let him live though. He actually had the gun pointed on him, and then he gonna switch it for the taser.
So, come on. I'm gonna put you in handcuffs for now, okay? You stabbed me, you got a knife!
You stabbed me, you got a knife!
Stop it!
Got the gun pointed at him.
Stop right now! I got him at gunpoint!
Got him at gunpoint.
Stop right now! Stop! Nick!
Called his name. Switch to the taser. Oh, he wasn't scared for your life then, huh?
Officers across the country confront dangerous situations every day, sometimes more than once a day. They are often compelled to make split-second decisions to protect others and themselves when faced with immediate threats. Yesterday was one of those occurrences. Let me be very direct. We cannot allow individuals to flee from officers with a loaded firearm aimed at them. When this happens, the outcome is almost always tragic. No one wins, and everyone involved is affected. As I review the sequence of events from yesterday, you'll see exactly how rapidly these things evolved, and it will permanently alter the lives of everyone involved.
The absence of evidence
Could you get
is
to
not the
number
evidence.
2?
What?
Go ahead, Bobby.
He's gonna go on your right! He's gonna go!
Shout out to Joni for another one. Now look at the footage they showed though. Appreciate you, Joni, for y'all dropping some love. Dropping some slime umbrellas in the chat. Appreciate you, family. Hey, look at the difference though of the video they looking at. Look at how different it is. That's how much edited it is.
So just to give you an idea, we have the 2 uniformed cars.
And then look, I showed this before, but look, you see him on the ground in this picture, but on the other shot, the truck is over here where he's at. So how is that possible?
We have 2 officers. There's 4. 4 individuals in the stolen vehicle.
To visit Hinton Jr. He's being held with emotion. We reached out to Cincinnati Deputy Larry Henderson.
Within the vicinity.
My bad, family.
Based on information that we received, the individual was struck. And I do want to clear up, based on information that we received, the individual was struck in the chest. It exited out the back. He was struck in the arm. We believe it went through his arm.
It is still years.
Been with the Cincinnati Police Department.
General chest, literally years. She's talking to us, the media, anyway.
Faced with immediate threats. Yesterday was one of those occurrences. Let me be very...
My bad, family. I accidentally skipped some of the video.
Very direct. We cannot allow individuals to flee from officers with a loaded firearm aimed at them. When this happens, the outcome is almost always tragic. No one wins, and everyone involved is affected. As I review the sequence of events from yesterday, you'll see exactly how rapidly these things evolved, and it will permanently alter the lives of everyone involved. So to get you number 2, go ahead, Bobby.
He's gonna come on your right, He's gonna come.
Look, you see where the truck is? That's where the same spot where she's saying this boy was. Wasn't he supposed to be in this picture on the ground dropping his gun? But now it's a truck there. What the hell is going on?
So just to give you an idea, we have the 2 uniformed cars. We have 2...
Look, now the truck is not there. Now the truck is backed up and he's on the ground. What the hell? I'm confused.
Officers, there's 4 individuals in the stolen vehicle. All 4 individuals get out and start running, some in different directions. So officers decide which individual they're going to pursue. We'll take a few questions.
Chief, the suspect, the C, really shows how volatile the situation is. But it was difficult for us to see if the suspect pointed his gun at the officer or whether he just had a gun and was shot because he had a gun. Can you tell why the officer shot the suspect?
Yeah. So just to kind of give you a frame of reference, the individual is running with a firearm in his hand. The officer is running, so the body camera is kind of jolting as the officer's running. What that leaves us with is a very blurred image, unfortunately. However, based on the officer's interviews, the officer who did discharge his firearm said that when the individual came out between the dumpsters, he had the firearm in front of him. It was in like a bladed position, and it was pointed at the...
And the evidence will show that... Oh, no, the lie detector will show that was a lie. Look at the damn picture. He ain't even looking nowhere over there.
The evidence is going to show...
the officer, and he felt threatened for his life, and that's why he discharged his firearm. And he felt threatened for his life, and that's why he discharged his firearm.
How many times did the officer discharge firearm?
We believe 4 or 5.
And hit him?
We believe twice. And I do want to clear up, based on information that we received, the individual was struck in the chest. It exited out the back. He was struck in the arm. We believe it went through his arm and into his side. So those were the two rounds that hit him.
There was no indication that he fired his gun?
Correct. No indication. No, until they feel their life is no longer in danger.
So I'm going to go back to the original question. So, Chief, would it be standard protocol to shoot a suspect if they are armed with a handgun and running if the firearm were not threatening the officer directly?
So this is where we have to go to the state of mind of the officer at the time. What is our...
That's not what he asked you. He asked you this.
They seeing, feeling,
threatening the officer directly. If they are armed with a handgun and running
So this is where we have to go to the state of mind of the officer at the time. Are they seeing, feeling, hearing?
So he don't technically have to be threatening. If the officer is scared, he has the right to shoot. It don't really matter what he's actually doing. It's just if he's scared or not. If he's scared, then he can shoot you. That's what she's saying. It goes to his state of mind. Which is like, why are you a cop if you so scared? If you just shooting niggas like this, you got the wrong job, buddy.
If they feel like their life or somebody else's life is in danger, they have a responsibility to stop that threat.
Good morning, Mr. Hinton. In the lawsuit, Rodney Hinton Jr. claims this scene at his arraignment and this scene during his bond hearing amounted to a coordinated effort by law enforcement to intimidate him.
He was walking out and how the whole precinct seemed to be in the courtroom.
We spoke with Antoinette Holloway. She isn't a licensed attorney, but filed a complaint on Hinton Jr.'s behalf. He's representing himself in the matter.
So when you got him behind closed doors, we don't know if he's eating. We don't know what's going on in there.
In the 5-page complaint, Hinton Jr., who is accused of intentionally running down Deputy Larry Henderson, says his civil rights were violated during his May 2nd arrest. He also claims officers used excessive force resulting in visible injuries. We reached out to Cincinnati Police and the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office about the lawsuit. Spokespeople for both departments say they don't comment on pending legal cases.
It was emotional. He said that he just didn't expect all the support that he.
They say they don't comment on pending legal cases, but they go and do whole press conferences to stop his GoFundMe, though. What kind of shit is that? And these so-called, well, I mean, they out there, so I ain't mad at them, but this ain't a good look for the Black Panthers, though.
Leaders of the Black Panther movement traveled to Cincinnati Monday, in part to visit Hinton Jr. He's being held without bond inside the Claremont County Jail and faces charges including aggravated murder and felonious assault.
It was brief, but it was powerful. He appreciates our people standing there. Our people.
The group held this town hall Monday night to organize next steps in support of Hinton Jr. About 40 people showed up, including 24-year-old CJ Robinson.
It could be me next week, and I can only imagine if I was killed unjustly what my parents would do.
Robinson says he wants police held accountable for the deadly shooting of Hinton Jr.'s son, Ryanhinton. Prosecutors say Hinton Jr. watched body camera video of the incident hours before the crash that killed Henderson.
A sorry, a public statement, there needs to be some consequence.
Hinton Jr. could face the death penalty if he's convicted.
Investigating. Fiji is also addressing the tension in the community.
I've been given the opportunity by the city manager to create.
So that was actually the cop that shot him. Now I get it. There was 2 cops that came from that side, but they were showing a video from a cop that came from another direction, but that wasn't the one that actually shot him, though, unless they both shot him.
A special manager's advisory group around
the shooting, a detailed reconstruction of Hinton's movements, and a review of evidence.
We just have Cincinnati Police
plan to discuss the autopsy of Ryanhinton during a news conference on Friday, but
Actually, there you go right there. He was coming from this side. Okay, I see why. I see what's going on. It's the same side, though, so it's the same side. I see it now. But he was running from the same direction.
Canceled it because the office had received a grand jury subpoena.
If this case is being presented to a grand jury.
And I'm not in the prosecutor's office, so I don't know. But one would assume that there's a lot more that we don't know than that we do know.
WCPO has requested and is still waiting to receive Ryanhinton's full autopsy and all additional body camera footage.
The other 3 continued to run. We've apprehended 2 of them. There is still 1 that we are looking for at this time, and like I said, the individual who was shot is deceased. A firearm was recovered near where he collapsed at the scene.
Do you know whether the officer was fired upon, or at least aimed at, or was he shot in the back?
Yeah, so right now, the homicide unit is doing their investigation. They're at the scene. They will then follow up with interviews of the witnesses and suspects and officers and try to garner that information. At this time, I don't have that detailed of information. Do you have any ages? Ages of the suspects? Yes. No, not at this time. We can get that to you.
Yeah, Chief, how are your officers doing this morning? Obviously, hectic.
Yeah, officers are good. Officers are good. Keep in mind, these are, fugitive.
Fugitive Apprehension Unit, which means they very well trained, right? They shouldn't just be randomly shooting fires off. What up, allegedly, maybe? It's been a minute. That's all right. I see you. Appreciate you joining, family.
Apprehension Unit are our covert officers. They go after some of the worst.
Covert officers. They go after the worst of the worst. But they just misfire. I mean, accidentally shoot when nobody even shooting at them.
The worst. Highly trained, highly experienced, highly intelligent.
Highly trained, highly experienced, highly intelligent. But shot the boy in his back. And y'all trying to cover it up.
Officers, and this is something they took upon to look into this stolen vehicle. You know, when officers go out and answer calls for service, they never know what they're going to encounter. I think today's a perfect example of that. They encountered somebody with a firearm who did not want to comply with the officer's commands to stop. So the officers have to do what they have to do. So the officers are doing well. Thank you very much for asking.
They have to do what they have to do? This witch don't give no...
I appreciate that, and we'll take care of them over the next few days to make sure they remain well.
So, Chief, you had said that the officer gave a command to stop. Can you go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, so until I hear their interviews, I'm not going to go into details.
Right, talking about they demanded them to stop. Did y'all hear any of that? Any stop or stop, don't move, I'll shoot, put the gun down, none of that.
Not a standard playbook. Every incident that we encounter is different, but we do have procedures that they follow to put the information out on the radio, direction of travel, clothing, what they're wanted for, that type of information, to get it out to as many officers as possible that are in the area, and they did that.
What is it like for officers to search such a suburban area?
I'm sorry?
What is it like for officers to search for someone they don't know they're looking for in a suburban area like this?
Well, this is really more urban. You know, we're an urban city. So the terrain out there, I was just there, the terrain is
It's really more urban. It's urban city. Yeah.
Extremely steep and extremely wooded. Luckily, we used all of the tools that we had available to us. We had canines that were working on the streets, so they got there quickly. We had drone operators who were working, so we got a couple.
So where's the drone footage? Y'all got drone footage then too. Where's that? We ain't seen no drone footage on the news.
With drones up very, very quickly, and all of that led to the apprehension of 2 of the suspects that ran.
There's 2 suspects that ran. Have there been charges filed against them?
Not yet. It was way too early.
So where were the 2 apprehended? Was it after the chase? Were they apprehended at the scene at the apartment complex?
They were apprehended further away from the apartment complex. It was a lengthy pursuit, a lengthy canine track and drone operation. So they were quite a ways away from the apartment complex. So yeah, but they were apprehended.
And the shooting took place at the apartment complex?
Yes, 2500 Warsaw.
Do you know how many shots fired?
Not at this time. That will all be determined through the homicide investigation. Yes, sir.
Are the multiple scenes cleared? Is there still traffic concerns for people who are driving down this way?
At this time, we have secured our resources because the 4th person at this moment has eluded our apprehension, but we will continue to work to determine his identity and apprehend him at a later time.
Last question.
Inside the courtroom, all 3 suspects actually appeared virtually while some of their family members sat inside the courtroom. Now, we also learned that all 3 have decided to plead not guilty. Yesterday, Hamilton County Prosecutor Connie Pillage informed us that 18-year-old Sincere Grisby and Jarrell Austin, along with 19-year-old DeAnthony Bullocks, face multiple charges that include obstructing official business, theft, receiving stolen property, improperly handling firearms in a vehicle, and having weapons while under disability. Now today, their defense attorneys each argued for a lesser bond, considering what the previous judge in Room A had set. The previous judge set Grisby and Austin's bond at $50,000 straight and had set DeAnthony's bond at $40,000 straight. Today, after Judge Anita Birding heard both defense and prosecuting attorneys, she set all 3 bonds at $50,000 at 10% with house arrest. Again, now this all stemmed from that May 1st encounter where officers found 4 suspects in a stolen Kia at an apartment complex. The suspects fled.
The 18-year-old who was shot and killed by Cincinnati police.
4 suspects unfortunately did not make it. Now, right now, we're still awaiting the next court date, but once we get that, you'll of course be able to find that on our website and on our app in downtown Cincinnati.
Hey guys, this summer if you're getting out to vote, you got to know all the rules. So we're talking about Boating Safety Week because that's what it is. Nationwide, we're at Sea Ray of Cincinnati. Right. This is Josh. Josh, Sea Ray of Cincinnati, you got
47-ish.
How are you?
Good. They're adjusting the light.
That's the only way you safe out there. You gotta talk like him. You gotta talk like him. Hey guys, we're going around.
Hinton's family gathered at Living God Church in Avondale this morning for his funeral. WLWT News 5's Sean McKinnon joining us live with more. Sean?
Yeah, well, Ryanhinton turned 18 years old just 12 days before he was killed, and today his family buried him. It was a sea of red here this morning, Hinton's favorite color. His siblings carrying their brother's coffin down the church's steps and then saying goodbye for the last time as they placed him into the back of a hearse. Outside the church this morning were two men wearing masks and one with an open carry rifle, that as tensions run high. In an interview, the officer who shot Ryanhinton says he feared for his life and that Hinton pointed a gun at him. That was during a stolen car investigation.
Hold on, where is that interview at? Where they got that at? That's what I want to see.
As officers were chasing Hinton and three other suspects. Dozens of people were here this morning supporting Hinton's family. Now, a grand jury is reviewing the evidence and Hinton's autopsy. There's no timeline right now when the Hamilton County prosecutor will decide whether or not to charge the officer who shot Hinton. Live in Avondale, Sean McKinnon, WLWT News 5.
Crazy, and they can just get away with it. They talking about they gotta decide if they gonna charge them or not. They gotta, oh yeah, we trying to see if we could get away with it or not. We trying to see what we could do to make it work. That bullshit. Then got her up here lying and stuff too. Even though she almost blew the whistle. She didn't, but she almost did though. She said enough to light the fire though.
More or less.
Good. Siri, it's like some sort of contest. Ugh. I've never been served with a grand jury subpoena. And I looked into it, and I believe, at least in the history of Hamilton County in the last 4
these things
Oh
evolve.
shit.
In
The
a
hell?
Yeah. And it's always a challenge. It's like, who's going to show the worst, It's like some sort of contest. Ugh. Anyway, it took a while for me to get used to that because, I'm a radiologist. Everything in black and white on screen looks way better than everything in red in person. Well, ready?
Ready.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming at such short notice, and I know it was rather short notice. So first I want to address having to cancel the press conference on Friday. As you know, we were served with grand jury subpoenas on Thursday, and in my 13 years as coroner, I've never been served with a grand jury subpoena. And I looked into it, and I believe, at least in the history of Hamilton County in the last 40 years, that hasn't happened to any of the coroners. So this was new territory. We had to learn some things. We had to consult some people. We had to ask a lot of questions. And so I decided putting off the press conference until we got some answers was the better way to handle things. So thank you for coming for the delayed press conference, shall we say, postponed. In the interim, I understand that some of the autopsy findings have been relayed to the public, and I just thought that the public should hear that from us, from our office directly, so that they get the facts straight and so that the information is correct.
Because very clearly they was up there lying. Don't forget to include that part.
I want to start off with saying, first of all, our condolences to the grieving families, because this is not easy for anybody. And no matter what family you are, there are victims in this, and they're not just the people that have passed away. It's really the family members who are left to deal with their grief. So in the interest of hopefully easing some of the pain, and also to be able to provide the media, and you have sent me many written requests asking for the preliminary autopsy findings, and we've always worked well together in trying to provide the information and the truth to the public. So I'm counting on you to do that here, and so I thought I will give you a copy of this, when I'm done with the press conference, but I wanted to at least give you the preliminary autopsy findings on Ryanhinton. So Mr. Hinton had 3 gunshot wounds to his body.
At least she call him Mr. Hinton. Respect to that. Late night said, lion ass love. Look like lion like love ass. Okay. I'm looking at her shirt. I'm about to say it's looking like love, because that's that same, remember that outfit Love had on? That red plaid outfit with the green nails? Looking like lion love ass. That's what I was reading in my head.
And this is in no particular order, but there was one in the left forearm, and there was an entrance wound and an exit wound, and it was soft tissue injury only. Did not contact any bone, and just skin wounds, entrance and exit. There was a second gunshot wound in the left lateral chest, so underneath the axilla, meaning the armpit, and that one did traverse the chest, and it did traverse through the left ventricle, and it exited the chest near the sternum. We believe that is the lethal wound. There was a third, basically just beneath the skin wound, and it was in the right posterolateral chest, adjacent to the shoulder, and it was soft tissue only. It traveled beneath the skin and ended just beneath the skull, and we were able to retrieve that bullet.
The evidence is going to show.
So, Mr. Hinton's cause of death is a gunshot wound to the torso. Left lateral chest, we believe, was the lethal wound. And his manner of death is homicide.
Left lateral chest. So lateral means side. Left lateral chest. And then manner was what? Homicide. Look at the face. Look, she like, this some bullshit. I'm glad she spoke out, though. I ain't mad at her.
So I wanted to make sure you got the exact facts from us and relayed that to the public. And again, there are no words to express our grief and our sorrow to the family members.
No, I don't think I've ever seen a coroner do an interview before. That's a good point, too. I don't think I've never seen that. But also, the cops out there lying on him, talking about he got shot in the chest and it came out the back, and that's a false report. So it's going to make it look like the coroner's out there lying. So they got to come and protect their name. Have to put some respect on her name. All 3 of y'all.
And we hope that this provides some solace to know the actual facts.
You ready to take questions?
I'm ready to take questions, but they're going to be limited to our portion of the investigation.
So can you talk about that, the bullet wound that killed him? Did that go through his arm and then enter his chest? Is that one bullet?
There is a possibility that that could have been the same bullet, because when you're running, usually you've got your arms, contracted in a 90-degree elbow position, and you're running back and forth like this. So it's possible that the same bullet traversed the left forearm and into the left side of the chest.
If the bullet that killed him went in his side and out his sternum, which is his chest, does that mean he was shot from slightly behind?
No, it was straight from the side. This is mid-lateral side, and
sternum, which is his chest. Does that mean he was shot from slightly behind?
No, it was straight from the side. This is mid-lateral side. And if you're asking why did it go toward the front, it did contact a rib on the way. So, as you know, when projectiles, and you can talk to somebody who's a physics expert or a firearms expert, when they hit something solid, they tend to deflect.
And did you recover that bullet, or was it the other? That was the one you did not.
Yeah, no, there were pieces of that bullet that we recovered, but not the entire bullet, no.
And he basically bled to death then, would have been what happened?
We didn't have a scene response. We only responded to the hospital, so I'm not sure what happened at the scene. So.
The third bullet that you were able to retrieve from the right posterolateral
Neck.
chest.
No, it was recovered from the neck, just below the skull.
So you're saying he was shot in the back?
No, I said he was shot in the right posterolateral near the shoulder.
Almost that angle.
Right posterolateral near the shoulder. So now she's saying right. That's the opposite side, not the left side. He got one in his left side lateral, and then she's saying right poster lateral.
You see in that body cam.
I can't comment. I cannot comment. I said he was shot in the right posterolateral near the shoulder.
Almost that angle that you see in that body cam.
I can't comment. I cannot comment on the body cam. First of all, there was so.
He said almost at the angle you see on the body cam, his back. That's fucked up, man. It ain't even funny.
So much motion, and I am not a body cam expert, and I get a little motion sick anyway, so that's not my cup of tea. So you're gonna have to ask somebody about the body cam footage. Yeah.
So.
How you get motion sick from footage? And you see that's because they got that fake ass blurry footage. Tell them to show you the real footage, and you might not be so blurred.
Can you then talk about where that bullet entered that body in plain speak and where it exited?
It entered the side of the chest. It impacted the left 7th rib, and then it traveled through the left side of the chest, through the left ventricle, and then out the front.
And then the other bullet, how would that bullet have, in plain speak, entered and exited?
It entered, plain speaking, I mean, I'm a physician. This is right posterolateral chest, is near the shoulder, and then traveled up underneath the skin, and then ended at the base of the skull without impacting bone or anything along the way. It was all soft tissue beneath the skin.
That would have had to be then as he was going down.
You're going to have to talk to somebody about that, because again.
And if he shot 4 or 5 times, how he only hit him with 2, and they was like right up on each other. He was like point blank range.
I can't comment on the body cam footage or what position his body was in at the time. And I can't also tell you which gunshot wound preceded which. I don't know the order. I can just tell you the gunshot wounds are. There are 3 entrance wounds and 2 exit wounds.
But it's possible that there were only two bullets that hit.
It's possible.
Yeah.
3 entry wounds and 2 exit wounds.
From a legal perspective, what allows you to talk to
But hold on though, hold on. Didn't she say they found bullet fragments? So that means he had to get hit 3 times. Because if 2 of them exited, that means there wouldn't be no bullets left in his body if he was only shot twice. If there's any bullets left in his body, that means he was shot more than twice. Because he has 2 exit wounds. Oh no!
I didn't know that.
But okay, one is from the arm though. So one is from the arm. They saying the exit from the arm, and it could have went into the body. So I think that's why.
Wasn't allowed on Friday, but I didn't have enough information, and that's why I had to postpone the press conference until I gathered some more information about what my requirements were with respect to the grand jury subpoena, and that's why I took the time to get the information before I proceeded with the press conference.
What does that mean that you got this subpoena then?
I don't know what that means. I mean, it's a grand jury subpoena asking for materials, and like I said, I've never had one before in the office, so that's why I needed to find out what that meant.
It didn't stop you from relaying any of this information then?
Not today, but I didn't know what that meant when I received it, so I felt compelled to postpone it until I got some more information, and then made a decision then to go ahead and move forward with the press conference.
Does the reason why you wanted to hold this press conference, obviously you said...
What was the reason why they wanted to stop it though? If she was going to do it on Friday, why they rush on Thursday and hit her with a grand jury subpoena? And it ain't never been done before. They over there making up new shit to cover up this that he got shot in the back.
That it was to ease the pain of the grieving families. Does it also perhaps ease community tensions?
Well, that is my hope, and I think in my 13 years of being in the office, being transparent with the public and the media with what we find and what we have found has been something that we routinely do, and that's part of what I've done in the office is I want to be transparent because I think you have a right to know, and I think the family has a right to know. And so we wanted to present you with the actual facts and not have conjecture out there with somebody's saying this and somebody's saying this, and and it's all confusing, and then the tensions are going up. So let me provide you with the actual facts, and that's what we are doing here. The other thing is that the family and the prosecutor's office have both been provided with what I'm going to be providing you. The family has also obtained their own private autopsy, so they have findings. They already know their findings. I'm sure that's been shared with them. So this is what we found in our office.
What did you report to the grand jury?
I don't think I'm allowed to discuss that.
Can you kind of just, like Dave, can you kind of point to where it is on the body?
You know what? I didn't do the autopsy, so I'm looking at the report, and
is that going to be on what you give us, like the exact spot where it is?
No, we don't.
Hold on. Now it's, oh, I didn't do the autopsy. So now you just reading off the paper. You ain't even checked none of the stuff. You ain't even the one that did it. Where's the person that did the autopsy? Why is you up here speaking? Why they put you on the front line? You just got the media presence?
Don't do diagrams or anything like that.
On the body?
You know what? I didn't do the autopsy, so I'm looking at the report, and
is that going to be on what you give us, like the exact spot where it is?
No, we don't do diagrams or anything like that. I mean, that will be provided.
Because when you say, I'm not thinking like this area, and then the other one is like here or here. I'm a little confused on exactly where.
This is what I got from our pathologist.
Yeah.
So.
When did you finish the autopsy? What was that communication with the police department? With them saying it was, through the chest, kind of where was the miscommunication there, and what is going to be done moving forward so this doesn't happen again?
Well, this is why I ask that we provide the autopsy findings from our office so that you get the real facts. And how that was communicated to the police, I don't know. I'm not even sure if they were present at the autopsy. Actually, I haven't looked into it. The autopsy was performed the next day.
Possible, obviously, that the police were just relaying what they observed as opposed to autopsy results.
It's possible. And I don't know, like I said, they might have been present for the autopsy, I'm not sure. But we also don't, even though...
She don't even know if the police was there. She wasn't there, police wasn't there. Why is all y'all talking? It's like a money grab or something, like not a money grab, but attention grab, press grab, some type of some reason they all in the press, and then they got him arguing against his dad getting a GoFundMe. It's crazy. The Attorney General.
We don't give you autopsy findings the day that we do them, because there's a fair amount of looking at all the information, looking at scene photos if there are any, looking at the other evidence that we're provided with before we even put together preliminary autopsy findings. And so we don't want to present you with something that we then have to retract later.
Prosecutor Pillage said that she, after you canceled the last press conference, Prosecutor Pillage said that she wanted all of the information gathered and she wanted to put that out with your autopsy results all at one time. Obviously, this subverts that. It precludes that from happening. What are your thoughts in reference to that?
Well, number one, since you're all familiar with Ohio Revised Code 313.10D, which governs how we provide information to the media when the media provides us with written requests. Up until recently, that stated the coroner shall provide preliminary autopsy findings, photos, etc., for you to view in a timely manner. And we have always done that in the past. And in this particular case, the language now has changed to may, but we thought it was important for you to have it since you've all provided me with.
In this particular case, they changed the language to may. So it's no longer shall, it's you may provide it.
So many written requests. The language now has changed to may, but we thought it was important for you to have it since you've all provided me with so many written requests for access to that. And we have always been transparent with the public in our findings. We're a scientific organization as well as a healthcare organization, and I think the public expects nothing less from us, and that's what we try and do. But we also don't want to provide it so quickly that we haven't had a chance to look at all of the evidence that we have. So our portion of the investigation, this is what we've concluded. Yes, there's still preliminary autopsy findings because there's still a few more things that need to be done, like looking at microscope slides and, you know, confirming all of the laboratory tests. But
Did you get the toxicology back?
yes,
And did that show anything in the system?
yes, it did. But does that really affect what happened?
Yeah, well, I was just wondering, are you able to tell us what that was?
I would prefer to wait until we get the rest of the tests back. We're still waiting on a couple of things, so we have some preliminary tests. But again, this is one of those cases where I don't want to precipitously give you information that I may have to back up.
Yeah, she should say it right now so they don't be lying later on saying that he had some drugs all in the system. If you know what he had, go on and say it. It's part of the autopsy, right?
On and relook at things. So some of those tests take a little while. And it's only been 2 weeks. So
2 weeks?
So from the reports that you have, I just want to confirm, he was shot on the side.
Yes.
Parallel. And so it was the fatal wound was one that came through the armpit, exited the sternum, so he's not shot in the chest or the back, it was all side.
just below the armpit. So that is.
Look, she could show you where that one at, right? She could point and say, and be very clean. Very, very English speaking, plain speaking English, just below the side. Oh, very understandable.
It's still considered chest. It's just the side of the chest. Yeah.
And then the other one, I'm a little still confused on the second one that hit him in the shoulder. Where did that enter?
I said upper posterior lateral chest. I know you're gonna have to go look it up.
Yeah, exactly where that is.
Go look it up. I'm gonna keep it. Yeah. Posterior lateral adjacent to the shoulder.
Why would she not want to point at that? Why she don't want to? She just pointed to the side just now, like 5 seconds ago. But she gonna say, go look it up. Go look it up. Oh, you don't know where posterior lateral is? So why you saying side then?
And that was not the lethal wound. That was simply under the skin and traveled literally under the skin. And it was recovered at the base of the skull, but before it entered.
Back to Connie Pillich's initial reaction to the press conference that had been called and then canceled. Are you afraid that having this press conference is going to in any way hamper the prosecutor's efforts?
I am here simply presenting facts, and what I think this goes back to what we talked about just 2 weeks ago. The absolute need to have an independently elected coroner so that the public gets that information from us. I mean, I think over the last several days, all of these issues that have happened come up point out even more the importance of having an independently elected coroner. And, so if the public is watching this, please reach out to your Ohio senators to support Senator Blessing's amendment that he's introducing, removing the language of eliminating elected coroners and instead having them appointed by the commissioners. This is why you need to have us elected. This is why you need to have us elected.
Y'all agree with that? They need to be elected instead of selected. What up, Adventuring? I see you. Appreciate you joining, family. YP Comchick says toxicology takes a while, so how can she just say there was drugs when she doesn't have the test results? Right. She gonna say it's only been 2 weeks. We don't know what he's had, but you said yes though.
So that you're hearing directly from us and you're getting the factual information.
You were contained in the grand jury?
I'm sorry?
You were contained in the grand jury?
With what I'm presenting?
Yeah, we're back.
Any more than anything else that's already been out in the press? These are just facts. They're going to get the facts anyway.
They're going to be presented this information,
Absolutely.
probably even more, maybe.
Oh, absolutely. They'll get the facts. Yeah, they'll get our evidence and incomplete. So, yeah.
I'm not sure if your report will be able to identify this, but based on, would you be able to see if he was holding an object or a gun, or based on the indentations in the hands or anything like that?
No, where guns are concerned, of course, we're going to check for gunshot residue on hands. But all that tells you, and this is something that the public watches so many forensic shows. And I know everybody thinks if there's gunshot residue present, that means that they pulled the trigger. Well, it doesn't. It just means that they might have been in the vicinity of somebody that pulled the trigger. They might have been, even the same room, and it might have floated around. They might get a little gunshot residue. But yeah, it could indicate that somebody pulled the trigger too. We always track the hands, but that's if somebody pulled the trigger. But also, if you're shot and there's gunshot residue, there could be gunshot residue from that. So that's not exactly going to be accurate as far as looking at that information.
Was the pathway of the gunshots consistent with him being in a certain position, whether it was him holding a gun in a bladed position, as police or prosecutors have said? Is there anything that...
We can't comment on that. I mean, it passed through his left forearm, so and the left side of his chest. So that would be where the bullet entered, and then it exited. It deflected off the 7th rib through, and then it exited near the sternum.
So what additional information are we going to get from a final autopsy report?
The laboratory tests, the toxicology reports, and anything else that we might find as far as, medical issues that he's had, detailed analysis of the organs, just to make sure.
What up, adventuring? So yeah, this is the the coroner that did the autopsy report for Ryanhinton, the one that they shot, the officer shot, and Rodney Hinton, his dad, ran over the police officer. So yeah, that's what that is. And at the beginning, it's a different case. 160 indicted or arrested was in Memphis.
That there aren't any other medical issues that he might have had that we would, of course, relate to the family. That if there's something there that looked like it was genetic, and that we would share that information with the family so that they can have other people checked in the family. It's part of a routine autopsy to make sure that we're covering all the information that we can get.
You said that you were not called to the scene but brought to the hospital. Is there any reason for that?
He was transported to the hospital in an attempt to save his life. So, and then he was pronounced there. So that's why we responded there. If that didn't happen and he was pronounced at the scene, we would have responded to the scene. So.
It was that bullet when it clips that ventricle, though. That was probably the part of it that made this a fatal shot.
Correct.
I mean, that's the part that did the most damage. That would have been.
Yes, that's the lethal wound. All right, I think we've exhausted all the details here. So if there aren't any more questions, I'm going to leave it at that. I do want to thank you all for.
Yeah, Rodney Hinton Jr. is the dad, and Ryanhinton is the son.
Coming, and thank you for being patient for my postponed press conference, but.
I just want my brother to see me. I just want my brother to see me. I just want my brother to see me. My brother can't see me. They did this shit before. They did this shit before. They did it before. I got beat on him. That's what my brother and me before. I ain't do nothing. I just wanted my brother to see me. I just want I ain't do nothing. He got my that's my family. That's my family in that door. Ready, please. You and I, that see me what I wanted, man. I got 40 motherfuckers here for my brother, man. Talking like y'all hard. Y'all can't do that shit while I watch. What a God, man. I can't even see that little brother. Y'all got this shit.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Coming back for the rewatch. We also covered the Attorney General fighting against Rodney Hinton getting a GoFundMe. They was arguing against that, protesting that, which is crazy to have Attorney General up there protesting against anything. But yeah, that's in there too, right before we start talking about Ryan. Appreciate you, family.
We never intended them to be anything other than a slave. But they began to grow in number and in power, and eventually they fought their way to some freedom. So we became even more cruel, and to keep our black Americans down, we lynched, but yet they rose. So then we used the welfare system, the criminal justice system, to keep them down, to contain them, to destroy them, but yet they rose and they're rising. Then we built prisons and jails to hold them, yet they rose. And so now we are doing exactly what the Pharaoh did at the end, sending out a decree, kill them. So until we admit that when we wrote this Constitution that all men are created equal, that we never intended to include our black brothers and sisters, our nation may end up facing exactly what the Egyptians faced when they refused to let God's people go. So I'm going to say this to my white fellow Americans, that the bloodshed that is on its way is not on the hands of our fellow black Americans, but is on our hands. We are the ones that are refusing to let God's people go. We are the ones that are refusing to acknowledge that we do not value our black brothers and sisters as equal individuals or equal Americans as us white men. And to my black brothers and sisters, the racial issues, as I've said, have been there from the very foundation, but why do we see it more? Because there's a shifting. See, us white men have been at the head since the foundation. But we've had a black president. And you know, we've done everything in our power to keep him from really changing things. Now we have another minority rising to the top, a white female. What does that say? Those of us who are white men who have been at the head are now starting to see and fear that we are going to become the tail. And we know what we've done to you. And so now we're fearful that you're going to do to us what we have done to you. But I will say this. I've lived in a black community for 23 years. I've never been treated the way that this country has treated my black Americans. So I call out my white Americans to say we better heed, repent, acknowledge, and change. Because if we don't, I just want to again say, fuck your clique.
Homicide.
YSL as a game must end. Is that your statement or acknowledgement?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
YSL is a music label and a game. And you have personal knowledge that members or associates of YSL have committed crimes in furtherance of the game.
Yes, ma'am.
You were present when law enforcement officers stopped a vehicle in which you were present along with Jeffrey Williams, wherein hydrocodone, methamphetamines, and a firearm were recovered. These items did not belong to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you acknowledge the following statement? I recognize, accept, and deeply regret that my talent and music indirectly furthered YSL the game to the detriment of my community. YSL as a game must end. Is that your statement or acknowledgement?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
YSL is a music label and a game. And you have personal knowledge.
Chasing down my goals, I self-law am master, supernatural disaster, metaphysical reaction. I am the flesh, I am the God. No one got the lab on lockdown. Talking hot winters and cold summers. Black Force Ones when we slide in the streets. We all stay home at the club jumping. What up, cousin? I see you, fam. Throwing slime coins when I watch the trial. LEOs be capping, chatting action. Come and tap in the most interactive. I am the flesh. I am the God. I am the flesh. I am the God.
Large paper leg don't tap in. Gun flesh skin every rap in. If you like us, gon' get the lights up. You can sub, you can share, tell them pack in. From the left, right, front to the passenger side. It's right here. here to premiere. How you know? Cause them boys broadcast to the live. Wanna talk about it, hit the link right here. Slide coins up, got 100 bands. Mars eyes, watch how the jet check. And the band made love to a bomber head. Two bands do a dance like check. I'ma keep going till I'm motherfucking tired. You what? I'm motherfucking tired. Slide brothers out, could we rain down game? Like, what you mean? Just watch the rise. Watch the rise. Watch the rise. I am the flesh.
Yeah. I am the God. Yeah.
I am the flesh. I am the God.
Flesh of the God.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
What?
All right. Appreciate y'all, family. Shout out to tonight's sponsors. Let me see. I got some of these names covered up, don't I? Appreciate everybody being here. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button if you haven't yet. Hit that subscribe if you haven't yet. Tap in. We'll be back with more soon. Shout out to tonight's sponsors, Joni Ford, FFS, Brooklyn, and hold on, let me see. Amazonista. I remember. I ain't even got to go look for it. I remember who it was, Amazonista. So appreciate y'all, family, and shout out to everybody. I hope y'all have a great night. And much love. Y'all go sub up to Late Night Bacon with Mookie. Yeah. Y'all go ahead and tap in. You going live, Mookie, or what? What you doing? Let me know. You going live? We'll be doing a rewatch also. Appreciate that. Shout out to Brown Sugar Babe with the goats. I appreciate that, family. Shout out to Joni Ford. Appreciate you. One of the nice sponsor. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Shout out to Jazzy T up in the building. Night. Shout out to Jazzy T. You know we gotta hit you with the Jazzy T message.
Have a good night. Have a good night. Have a motherfucking good ass night.
Yes, sir. And we up out of here, family. Much love. Shout out to all the sponsors once again. Shout out to all y'all for being here. Shout out to everybody who hit that like button. You know, I appreciated it. Shout out to everybody on the replay. Shout out to Factual Lie. Save the best for last. That's what it is. I ain't even going to say no more. I'm going to save that one right there. No, because I always be meaning to send a shout out to Factual Lie at the beginning of the show, because Factual Lie always here on the replay. But I'm gonna have to open up with that next time if I remember. So anyway, have a good night. Y'all have a ass motherfucking night. Until next time, stay fresh and stay blessed, family. Peace out.
Have a good night. Have a good night. Have a motherfucking good ass night.